Around. We're about to play some Duke around. Let's do it. You got to breathe, drink the breathe. All I want to scream is, yes, sir! Yeah, I don't know why I'm always doing that. We're gay, oh yeah, that's right, we're gay as yeah. Now, stroke it. Oh, you do the 5 days like, yeah, that's right. You shit, hey. George, Real had to take off my gloves. How about I say, yes, sir, yes, sir. Yeah. Put your cock right on my ass. Yeah.
Woo! Good afternoon, people. Oh my goodness. Oh man, let me tell you guys, I am my heart's beating. Might have to do with the energy drink. But yeah, oh my goodness, it's too early. It's too early. No, it's not.
I think we got a super dad.
Super bad.
I think we got a super dad.
Super bad.
Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Love is a 4-letter word. Wow. Did you put that together yourself there, Einstein? Wow. I'm sorry. There you go. Way to go there, Newton. Love is a 4-letter word. Who knew? Dominoes are falling. How many more L's for Norfolk County? Many more to come. Free Karen Reed. Free Turtleboy. Much respect to Dr. Turtleboy and the Glare. Love Jen. Love you too. I know I'm being a dick. I'm in a very playful mood. Because Turtleboy stated, now I wasn't even gonna stream this, man. I was in Tom and Boston Mike's chat, like chilling, happy. But it didn't. I kept asking, like, are you guys streaming it? Are you guys streaming it? Are you guys streaming it? Nobody answered. Everybody kept asking, are they streaming it? So I have the Zoom link. Nobody signed on yet. Or maybe, hold on. Okay. I'm gonna make sure that I'm always muted. Okay, yeah, mute my microphone when joining a meeting. Okay, so I'm just waiting. Somebody signed in, but it's muted. There's no sound. So, yeah, all right. So, yeah, I wasn't even gonna stream it. But people kept asking in Tom's chat, and Mike's chat. Man, I'm missing a lot of super chats. I'm sorry, guys. But I've got it all. I will go over them. I promise. Thank you guys so much, all of you guys. I promise I will go over them. But right now, yeah, let me just go ahead and share it. All right, so I mean, I'll just leave my headphones on just to be able to hear if somebody comes on, but man, I'm like, you know that mood that you get in when you were a kid after lunch, that first class that you had after lunch, you're all hyper, you know? That's what happened to me, kind of. Like I just came home from the gym. I walked clubber. I made myself 2 steaks with like some broccoli and cheese, and I just like devoured that shit. Fucking devoured that shit. It's so good. And now like I'm just all full, you know, and I was gonna take like a hot shower and relax and like nap before I did my live that I have scheduled for 5 o'clock, which probably won't happen, by the way. I apologize in advance. Because I completely forgot this was happening today. I completely and totally forgot about it. And then so I was just like, all right, well, whatever. I'll just catch Tom's stream and then I'll jump in the shower and then I'll pass out. You know what I mean? And like, but I don't think that they're actually streaming it. They're streaming like outside of the courthouse because Tom is there as always, which is awesome. But Aiden has been mentioning that he's got some bombs that he's going to drop in regards to Trooper Guarino, our friend Trooper Guarino, who, in my opinion, is next. Okay, because people cannot deny, cannot forget the big news that took place yesterday. The big news that took place yesterday was that Matthew Farwell, who we all suspected murdered Sandra Birchmore because he had the motive, the means, the opportunity, and he's the last person to clearly see her alive. I mean, this was right. When I think about some of the stuff I read yesterday, it's really, I'm glad that he's off the streets. It makes me grateful for people like Sean on the Gulf, you know, and the service that he gave us, you know, and you know, guys like Peter Murphy and you know, it makes me grateful for the good cops, you know, really does. So I mean, yeah, this is a crazy thing to be watching happen and unfold in real time, because it's just now starting to happen. It's just beginning. I am firmly of the belief. I was discussing this in the Tom and Boston Mike's chat. I mean, the thing is okay, I get that I have to look over I have to look over the that court document again that I read yesterday. I have to go over that one more time. But I mean, he's charged with murder of a witness. Now people are saying, okay, well, yeah, she's a witness to the allegations, to the assault that she was subject to. Sure, of course, there's that, but I think that there's more. I don't know if that is a federal crime. So I wonder if she's a witness to indictments, into the if she would have been a witness into the into certain things that she might have seen happen in regards to around the I'm hearing something happen here, but I'm just brainstorming. I don't know, but I think that
I'm sorry,
Josh Levy's
I don't believe I do.
press
Kind of new
conference
up
yesterday
here,
was very telling.
and we're on the west side. Alex, do you know Alex Beeman?
Yes. That's going to be coming on your chief area. No, I just emailed it, so we may already get it.
Have we seen Attorney Bradle? Thank you.
Man, this is going to be wild. It's already got that vibe. You know that vibe? Lisa, thank you so much. Gifted 5 memberships. Wow. Yeah, after the hearing, Cherry, please remind me after the hearing to go over all of the super chats. Yeah, Runkle did go over it last night. I'm gonna go over the affidavit. At least that was the plan. And maybe this is a sign to not have to do it. Maybe I'll just cancel that. But I'm gonna have to read it. I just prefer to read and do my research live with you guys.
Just so you know, the Zoom webinar is up and active, and you are being broadcasted.
Thank you.
And recorded by someone else.
Can I fix the calendar behind me? I don't have a calendar behind me. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yes. Yes.
Yo, man, I got over 3K in here watching, man. Y'all better hit the like. Please hit the like. Appreciate you.
I have a second motion. I don't think it's very controversial, but Harris sent an email out for
Yo, you can't be that retarded. No, wait, you think that's a calendar? That's my fucking Bernie Federico calendar. Yeah, that's always on the same goddamn
afternoon,
date.
everyone.
Good afternoon. Your Honor, this is number 11 on today's list, Kamal versus Tyrell Damon, 24 CR 147.
Wow.
Mr. Damon is present and represented by Attorney Mackey Zanzalatis. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Alex Beeman. The matter is on for hearing on the Commonwealth's motion under 58A. If the parties could please identify themselves for the record.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Alex Seaman for the Commonwealth.
Ms. Beeman, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mafia Anzalatos, Mr. Damon.
Mr. Anzalatis, good afternoon. Mr. Damon, good afternoon. All right, we're here for a 58A dangerousness hearing. I have been given, and I've had the opportunity to review exhibits and some thumb drives, all of which I've seen, and a CD of the proceedings in the Quincy District Court.
Thanks.
So I've got that in mind as you proceed.
And I would raise objections only to exhibits I through N, which are the collectively what I'll refer to as the police reports. I think while Durling hasn't been formally applied to the 58A proceeding, I think if in a preponderance hearing, you need to represent that hearsay is reliable, you certainly would need to in a hearing that is governed by a clear and convincing standard. I don't need to address each of them individually. I mean, the gist of this is that there's a series of robberies, that there are some police officers who look at a variety of surveillance videos and at least claim to be able to identify Mr. Damon as the person in the surveillance videos. I think the crux of this case lies in the sort of veracity and reliability and reasonableness of those identifications. Obviously, the surveillance videos of this case in and of themselves, the fact that Mr. Damon is charged in those courts by way of docket, I don't object to. But I think without being able to scrutinize the identifications that are individually made in each of these police reports of him being the suspect, I would say it fails Durling, so I would just object on those grounds. Other exhibits I have no objections to.
All right, Ms. Beeman, what do you say?
All right, Cherry, people are saying this isn't the right hearing, but I feel like there's probably a docket. That's what I'm getting, is that there's a docket and they're just going through different cases. Because I heard someone ask if Mr. Bradel was present. So yeah, change my calendar. I love it. So yeah.
All right.
And I don't object to the dockets. I mean, he has been indicted. I can't argue with that.
Right. I think there's no real dispute about the fact that there have been indictments or that they were submitted before. I think what is raised here now before me is the reliability of the hearsay. What do you say as to that? There is hearsay within the reports. What do you say on that issue?
Yes, Your Honor, I would say it is reliable hearsay for the purposes of the probable cause hearing, for the 58A hearing in terms of probable cause. These were police reports and these were presented to a grand jury.
I see my man Microdots in the house.
All right. All right. Mr. Anzalatis, I've noted your objections to the report.
I see Mazda Media in the house.
Are we ready to go?
Type of 1.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you're a Mazda maniac like me, I'm a Mazda
Commonwealth
maniac.
did do an amended submission with one more report. It's an Addington report. I did provide this to counsel last night, and that's one of the matters he was indicted in Plymouth.
All right, just give me a moment, please.
Woo! Look at all those ones. I love it. Mazzy, you're a rock star, homie.
Okay. All right.
And Your Honor, did Your Honor have the opportunity to read the Commonwealth 13-page memorandum in support?
I have read it, yes.
Okay, so then with that said, and the exhibits reviewed by Your Honor, the Commonwealth does not have much more to add outside of that. However, the Commonwealth would like to highlight that this individual is a danger to not only the establishments and the victims that he targeted in this case, but to also the community, as these local establishments include McDonald's, Cumberland Farms, Seasons gas stations, 2 CVS stores, a Target store, all within our local community. And what's even more concerning, Your Honor, is that the defendant has been now indicted and arraigned in 2 separate counties on 3 separate cases, all of the same charge of armed robbery, with 6 of those indictments, including mass and armed robbery.
Shut up, lady. Oh my God, bro. Look at all the love for Mazza. Bro, the ladies love you too, bro. You all know Mazza's packing heat too, man. He's a big dude. Like Mazza's packing the Bominoka. The Bominoka. Did you guys see that new Mad Max movie? Y'all, if you've seen that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Bominoka. I love it.
After putting the cashier register person in fear, or the employee of the store in fear, by threatening, he makes it known to every individual in those stores that he has a gun and that he will shoot if they do not hand over the cash. He is currently held on a 58A in Plymouth County. Before this, he was held in Quincy District Court when he was first arraigned on the matter in Braintree on a 58A as well, Your Honor. He was also revoked because when he picked up these offenses, he had 2 pending matters in the Brockton District Court, one for attempted larceny that he is now indicted on, and also a violation of restraining order, which leads me to his Board of Probation record. For a fairly young individual, he does have a lengthy record. He has already been convicted of similar offenses to this, but that are lesser.
Yeah. Welcome, new subscribers.
Board of Probation record from 2 separate females. One was granted for almost 5 years, and of note, in 2018, he was convicted of violating one of these restraining orders. And then, Your Honor, lastly, I'd highlight the fact that when this defendant is arrested by the Brockton police, he exhibits quite violent, resistive behavior to the officers, calling them derogatory names.
This guy sounds like a menace.
Pulling, screaming, and when they try to explain to him that his clothes will be taken in for evidence, he becomes outraged. So outraged that the 3 officers have to put him in handcuffs, and that he also needs to be tased. And based on all of this, Your Honor, the Commonwealth would ask that you allow its motion to detain the defendant pursuant to 58A, as there are no conditions that will reasonably assure the safety of these establishments and the community at large. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Anzalatis.
Thank you. I'd like to start off, I guess, where the Commonwealth left off. Dangerousness, I think, under 58A and under the case law 58A is we have to determine that someone is objectively and materially a danger. And I don't say this to be flippant, but dangerousness is different than scary. Dangerous is different than frightening. That you actually have either exhibited a pattern of being a danger, a serious danger to individuals in the community, or there's something so unique about the case before you that on its own it satisfies by clear and convincing evidence that the person is dangerous. And I say that intentionally because, first of all, when we talk about Mr. Damon's arrest, the Commonwealth represents that is evidence of his danger to the point where he should be held without bail despite the fact that he's innocent right now. And yet what they say is he yelled and was verbally abusive and pulled at police. And I'm not suggesting that that's good behavior. I'm not suggesting that's how we want people to behave. I'm not suggesting that Mr. Damon's proud of that behavior.
Awesome. Like, he's like,
I'm also not admitting he did those things. But nonetheless,
dangerous.
Does that mean that he's such a danger to the safety of the community that we have to sort of abandon 500 years of the premise that one is innocent until proven guilty and hold them without bail?
This is a great opening act right now.
And the same thing is true about the crimes. And he's charged with very serious offenses. There's no question about that. And I'm sure that the people who were the subject of these crimes, that they in fact happened, were very frightened. But there's a fact that is well documented in the exhibits, although not in the Commonwealth oral argument, which is that when Mr. Damon is ultimately apprehended, he's arrested with what is presumably the weapon that is used to threaten people if in fact he was the one who did it, and it's a BB gun. And again, I'm not suggesting that the people that were on the other end of that interaction were not scared.
I love this guy.
But the question is, were they in the type of grave danger that was contemplated by the legislature when they decided that we can hold people without bail? And I don't think it was. His record further reinforces that reality, which is that despite a pretty lengthy record of someone who steals a lot and someone that I would suggest has struggled with both a mental health and substance use disorder, there's one conviction for a violent offense on his entire record. It's an assault and battery charge in...
This guy's probably a violent junkie asshole, and this lawyer is just like, Your Honor, what does dangerous even really mean?
And other than that, he doesn't have a single conviction for violence. And more importantly, doesn't really have even a litany of allegations of violence. And so when the legislature drafted 58A and when it was contemplated in cases like Young and his progeny, the idea was that it was reserved for the most serious situations where there was such a danger to the physical safety of the community that we would abandon a bedrock principle and put someone in jail without bail. And secondly, the government has to establish by clear and convincing evidence, which is not a toothless standard, that there's no other condition that would mitigate that danger. The Commonwealth hasn't really addressed that.
Oh, this is my favorite lawyer of all time.
In some ways, this is a little bit intellectual because Mr. Damon is being held without bail in Plymouth County, and I sort of recognize that. But what I would suggest is that a meaningful but reasonable bail be set in this case. Mr. Damon wouldn't walk out the front door if that happens. He would have an opportunity to work with the social service staff at my office to come up with a release plan that would be satisfactory to the court by the time that he was bailable in Plymouth County. And potentially could address some of the underlying problems he has and enjoy the presumption of innocence that at least, that we purport that people enjoy.
Enjoy the presumption of innocence.
His father, and I will say, sort of just as an officer of the court, I talk to his dad weekly. This is not my kid's in trouble, so I'm going to show up and tell everyone I love him, but otherwise I'm out of the picture. This is a very involved father. He's right there in the white t-shirt. Mr. Damon is absolutely welcome to live with his father.
The guy whose dad showed up in a white t-shirt
in Mr. Damon's life. Mr. Damon has suffered a lot of loss.
I love this guy.
Over the course of his adult life, his grandmother actually recently passed away while he was incarcerated, but he has a very tight-knit family. And so I would suggest that a bail somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 with some kind of monitoring, whether that's reporting to probation or GPS monitoring, and a condition that he live with family, either his aunt or his father, I would suggest his father, mitigates any danger that may be present in the case and assures his appearance in court if that's a concern. I don't want to get too much into the weeds of the case before Your Honor, but what I will say, to the extent that I think the triability and the viability of a case affects people's behavior when they're on bail, so in some ways it's relevant. Ultimately, what happens here is there's a robbery, and if you watch the surveillance videos, and the stills related to the robbery, we are not talking about particularly clear footage. And there's an email sent out over the statewide Fusion Center email service, which is a hardware system that allows police officers to share intelligence. And police officers out of county say, oh, we know that guy, that's Tyrell Damon. I would suggest that at a motion to suppress identification phase, there's going to be some real questions about the veracity of that identification. Interestingly, Mr. Damon is not arrested on this case. He's arrested on a warrant for a case that's since been null-pros, a driving case out of Quincy District Court. And I only bring that up because in discovery of that case, what we learned was the state trooper who tried to pull someone over and they didn't stop, which was the origins of that warrant, was shown a picture and said, is this the guy we tried to pull over? A picture purportedly of Mr. Damon, a surveillance photo. And he said, no, the guy I tried to pull over didn't have dreads. There's some texting back and forth between two troopers, and then less than 2 minutes later, a single RMV photo is sent and said, is this the guy? An RMV photo of Mr. Damon. He said, oh yeah, that's him, despite the fact that he has dreads. So I only say all this to say that there are questions about the viability of the original arrest warrant that led to him being arrested. There's questions about the identification in this particular robbery case. Not to sort of even go deeper in the weeds, but the original arrest warrant that he was arrested on, where the Commonwealth, I think, alleges in their paperwork and in their reports and their grand jury minutes, significant inculpatory information was found on Mr. Damon connecting him to this robbery. The original arrest warrant was never signed. I have a copy of it, which I think under current Massachusetts case law invalidates that warrant. So I only say all this to say that this is not a case that is just automatically sort of going towards negotiation.
He would have said that. He would have said
there are viable issues to litigate in the case. And I think because of the very high standard of clear and convincing evidence, Barbosa versus McLeod, I think, articulates it most clearly, but it is not a toothless standard. The fact that he does not have a long history of violence, the fact that he was not actually carrying a deadly weapon, the fact that no one was injured, and the Commonwealth's own words, this spree lasted for 8 days. They called him a young man. I don't know if 33 is young. Makes me feel old if it is, but nonetheless, for 8 days of his 33 years, he maybe committed some violent felonies. And the rest of his 33 years, while he hasn't been innocent of criminal activity, are not marred by violence. So for 24,000 days, he doesn't commit a crime where anyone is a victim of violence. And for 8 days, he does. And the Commonwealth is suggesting that that pattern allows Your Honor to hold someone without bail. And I would argue that it doesn't. So I would ask for a bail of somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 with whatever reporting or monitoring the court sees fit.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's the guy I'm calling if I'm
let
ever
me
in
say
trouble in
that,
Massachusetts.
Ms. Beeman, you rose. You would like to say something?
No.
Oh, so I have, as I said I had, reviewed all of the exhibits before me, which include the grand jury exhibits. I find, after review of all this information and after arguments with counsel, that the Commonwealth has met its burden, which is clear and convincing evidence of showing that the defendant does present, is dangerous, as that word is used under 276-58A. And I don't believe there are conditions of release, and so I will have him held. The Commonwealth's motion is allowed.
Thank you.
Like, I'm glad because
I have previously filed a discovery motion. The Commonwealth has begun responding to that outside of the court process. I have a second motion.
He's going.
What I would ask is that we sort of work out what we can amongst ourselves and then pick a date to fight about the stuff we don't agree on.
All right. Do you have a date in mind?
Yeah, this judge seems all right, for sure. Like I was kind of rooting for him just because of his like slick lawyering, you know, in that sense.
September 26th.
But I mean, I'm glad that the guy.
We have it on the no further list.
Guy sounds guilty as fuck to me.
Squeeze one more in. What would that would be on for discovery motions?
Yeah, I think it would be relatively short. Saying his last words.
Yeah. 1 second, sorry. We have 12.
I could also do October 8th if it makes your life easier. I don't know if it works for the Commonwealth.
We can make the 26th work.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Damon, after hearing the court does enter a finding of dangerousness, you will be held on a minimus without bail. Your matter is continued to September 26th for hearing on discovery motions. The Hague will issue to Plymouth for your appearance. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
We are ready. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Keep that guy off the street. That's what I'm talking about.
We got a special disliking for these.
Thank you, Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Next before the court, numbers 6 and 10 on today's list as Commonwealth versus Aiden Carney, 23
Here we
CR
go.
313, 24 CR 43. Mr. Carney is present and represented by Attorney Timothy Bradel. Commonwealth is represented by Special Assistant District Attorney Robert Cosgrove. The matters are on for hearing for various motions. If the parties could please identify themselves for the record.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Robert Cosgrove, Special Assistant District Attorney for the Commonwealth.
Special ADA Cosgrove, good morning, good afternoon, I'm sorry.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Timothy Bradel. I represent Aiden Carney. For the record, he's here to my left at council table.
Mr. Bradel, good afternoon. Mr. Carney, good afternoon.
Your Honor, for the record, I did disclose to Mr. Bradel that in my prior life, you and I both sat in this court and that I had a cordial, collegial relationship with you, at least from my point of view. That I left the court long before I had heard the name Aiden Kearney, that I've never had a conversation about him with you, and that I have no reason to believe that the fact that we both sat here simultaneously and had incidental contact would in any way influence your judgment. But I don't know if Your Honor wishes to put anything on the record or if Mr. Bradel wishes to make a comment.
Mr. Bradel.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I appreciate counsel for the Commonwealth disclosing that to me. I spoke to my client about it. We both feel that it would be better if a different judge of the Superior Court sits on the matter. Certainly nothing personal.
Oh, I don't take it personally, but.
Yeah, nothing personal, of course, at all, Your Honor, but it's just it makes us uncomfortable that, you know, two former colleagues and me are dealing with a case. I just don't feel comfortable with it. I spoke to my client about it, and respectfully, we just don't feel comfortable with it. We'd appreciate it if there was another judge that can hear the matter that is not, doesn't have any sort of a history with the Commonwealth.
He's going to deny that shit.
So let me say, for the subjective part of the analysis, I can tell you that my relationship with Special Attorney ADA Cosgrove would not affect my ability to be fair. I can tell you that subjectively. But I understand your point. Is it your request to go before someone else today?
If possible, Your Honor.
I don't know if that's possible.
Right. No, I understand. Whatever.
I mean, Bradel's
happen,
like,
you know, has
it,
to happen.
I mean, you got a judge back there.
We don't have a problem with that, but we would appreciate being heard in front of a counsel that's not a former colleague of Commonwealth Counsel.
You mean before a judge? All right. Well, look, I can tell you that I can be fair. I can also tell you that I understand your position. I don't know that time is of the essence on these motions. And so we can work with you to reschedule in front of a different judge.
Sure. One suggestion, Judge, and I did bring this up briefly.
See, this judge is like, I don't give a shit, man.
I know that Judge Kate Lane doesn't have that kind of history with Commonwealth Counsel. He has been on the case. He does have some familiarity with the matters at hand today. And I do understand that he is still sitting here. And there's a question mark at the end of that.
The judge just passed Solomon's test.
He is still sitting here, though. I wouldn't, it would not be my place to assign the case. So, Margaret, you?
Well, it shouldn't be. If the issue is a conflict of interest, then no, you should not be assigning the next judge. It's interesting though, because like this dude totally passed the Solomon test with me. Like now I'm like, well, this guy seems honest.
All right. So it's my determination that based on the defendant's motion, I'll recuse myself. I'm not going to assign the case as that's not that's not what I would do.
I don't give a fuck.
We will have to reach out with you
in front of another judge. You would do it in front of another judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
See you again, however briefly.
It was good to see you. Thank you. All right.
Council, if you just stand by and I can, we
Sure.
can try to
It
work
was
on it.
good to see you.
Thank you.
Could we just go sidebar for a moment?
Sure.
I mean, so I guess that's it. They're going to reschedule another date in front of, so it's going to be in front of another judge. And I get it. I mean, both Aiden and Tim wanted this to be, oh, that's it. It's over. They ended the webinar. Both Aiden and Tim Bradel wanted that to be, in front of another judge. And the dude was like, okay. I mean, what else is there? Oh, see, now I'm streaming them. They were streaming me, now I'm streaming them. Hold on.
Properly.
Yeah.
Hey, Tommy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, the judge just recused himself.
I just want to see what's going on
Yeah,
outside the
That's the
courthouse.
smartest thing you could have done.
Yeah, we agree. We agree. Yep.
You know, it unfortunately has come to that.
Yeah.
What's
You don't
up,
have to-
big guy? How you been? I
you don't have
missed
to
you.
expect this.
How's everything?
I was looking for your number one day.
I got a new channel, guy. New channel.
Hey, and make sure to sub up to this channel, dude. Like,
shaking
these
hands,
guys
kissing
are
babies.
fucking great.
Tom, there you go, bud. That's it.
Here, let me drop the link in the chat.
Gotta look you
Make sure
Yeah,
to
put
give,
me in there. Hey, you got Joe
make
Flipperhead?
sure to give them
Put
a
him in there
like,
too.
No, I don't want
What's up,
and
guy? Killing
make
me.
sure to subscribe to them.
Oh
That's
my
Tom
I still want to
CPU and
hear
Monster
about
Mike's new
Garino.
channel.
That's
I hope
good.
we get
How's
to.
the channel doing?
Good. We have the new channel.
What's
I
the name of
don't think we're gonna hear it today,
All right,
Yeah.
I'll put it in there.
unfortunately.
Off the news all
Oh
of
no,
it.
the glare is watching us now. It's
Oh,
only
he is?
fair. We just streamed his live. Thanks, Glare.
Of
Appreciate
course.
it.
Thanks, Will. Dude, you're a funny ass man, dude. You're a funny shit. I like your style, Will. You're a funny guy.
Hey, at least we got to see the drama from the previous
But listen, just go to
hearing. That was
Twitter.
kind of wild.
Twitter? Go to Twitter. X.
Yeah, that previous hearing was
He's a
fucking
good sense of humor.
fantastic. That was fucking great.
That was a big.
I want to
fucking
know what
break
happened
today.
to that dude.
Remind me what the hearing was for exactly.
It wasn't for discovery.
I'm gonna mute them.
I'm not quite sure.
Because I just want to see what's going on outside. Yeah, I guess it's just moved to another date. But the good news is that Aiden and Tim Bradel got what they wanted. So Turtleboy and Tim Bradel got what they wanted today, which was for this judge to recuse himself. He had no problem with it. That was like interesting. Now, it's really funny that happened, because what I'm going to end up doing, and it's weird how these things turn out, because just last night I watched Microdot's latest video, and it is fantastic, as all of them always are. This one is just fucking fantastic. And it's all about Judge Bev, and it really focuses on Judge Bev not recusing herself. And it's just, I find the timing to be very, very, very interesting that I just stumbled upon that video and watched it in its entirety last night. And I wanted to go over it. And so I'm probably just going to go over that. And I probably won't go over, I'll reset my live for the FBI affidavit for Matthew Farwell for tomorrow, I guess. I guess I'll just do that tomorrow. But we're hanging out. We've only been here for 45 minutes, and since I'm going to do that, we'll be here for a while, folks. So if you guys want to hang out for a while, please do so. But yeah, after this, I'm going to go over Microdot's video, and we'll let Microdots remind us all as to how not to recuse yourself, as to how not to handle a situation like that. Thank you, Sherry D, so much. Appreciate you. All right, let's listen in on what's going on here. Gotta love Tom CPU's coverage, y'all.
Let's see what Aiden says when he comes out. I wonder when the next date's going to be, Tom.
And we're all still going
Yeah,
to be
I'm
here.
checking the courts to see if they have scheduled it yet.
Okay.
I love to hear Tim Bradle's comments afterwards. Of course, always Turtleboy's courthouse stairs speeches. But
yeah,
we love Tim Bradle.
hey, Will, I hope everything's well over there, big guy.
What's up, Tommy? Yeah, make sure, guys, I pinned this channel that we're streaming right now to the top of the chat, so please make sure to subscribe to it and give this video a like.
Oh, happy birthday, Cherry.
I do wish I could have met.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jerry. I mean, they
I just want to know who this judge was and what the conflict was.
They worked together at one point in time.
Bradle work with this judge?
No, the other guy.
Cosgrove.
Yeah, Cosgrove.
Cosgrove.
Well, Cosgrove's an ex-judge, so
and
chances are he might have worked with judges.
We're colleagues.
That's why Cosgrove even being a special prosecutor is stupid.
They knew that from the beginning. Why they let it go?
Oh my God! Hey, saying hi to me in public again.
He's awesome. That's Tim from Canton Cable. He's here all the time. Rain, sleet, or snow. That boy's here. He does his work.
Yeah, I see him all the time. Anything on the court talk?
Where's my dude? My friend, that big dude up there. Where's my guy? Oh, the guy I'm talking about, the security guy, the court officer guy. Where is he? Seen him today? The familiar guy. The big dude. Oh, he's there? Okay. Hey, Kim O'Brien.
Nothing yet.
Okay, thanks. Tommy, how many people we got watching?
645 and climbing.
All right, good, man.
And don't forget, Will's got 3,000 on his channel, right?
30. I think he had 3,500. Yeah.
Well, he pulls a lot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned that he's streaming us now, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
It's usually what happens. We take turns. We stream each other. It's like a mutual agreement we spoke about. It's cool.
Yeah, Tommy's always Tommy's always been great about
Yeah, I
that.
have no problem with him using this footage.
He's the man.
No
He's the
doubt.
goat. He's the goat.
Yeah. I mean, he took the time to come and
I don't know
visit
about all
everybody,
that.
you know?
I don't know about all that.
That was a good time. I wish we had more notice, but whatever. He was there. We did it. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you guys in the courtroom together?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And I remember saying something to him about the jury or something. But here we go. Loud.
Tom's got us on mute for a second. I think the police sirens driving by. Figure it out.
I had to put
I
up
can
a
see the
poll.
ambulance coming right there. Okay, yeah. Fire truck, I mean. Wow. That's loud. Thanks, Tommy, for doing that.
Somebody straight up was like, yo, change your
Hey, sleep through that, my friend.
change your
Right?
calendar, bro.
Right?
No,
What?
I can't.
Oh, man.
Whoever said that shit is gonna
That
have
leaf
to
blower
eat
cracked
that
me up
shit for
earlier.
a while.
Yeah. Gotta get to sleep, man. Long nights.
Oh, my
Here he
goodness.
comes.
This is Tom. Okay. The link is pinned to the.
You don't trust them? I know they're golfing buddies. I know, it's like Katie McLaughlin and Caitlin Albert. Maybe they're just acquaintances. I don't know. But we're not taking any chances. But the judge did the right thing, unlike Auntie Bev, who had a clear conflict in the Karen Reed case and investigated herself and determined that she could be unbiased. At least this judge said the appearance of impartiality is the problem here. So he recused himself, and it's a complicated case. There's a lot to it, and one of the judge who's been involved in this up to this point, Kay Elaine, he's familiar with the case. I mean, you're going to throw somebody new in there who hasn't heard any of this stuff, who doesn't know any of these characters are. It's inefficient, so I think that the judge did the right thing today. So we'll have to hold off, unfortunately, about what we were going to discuss today in court. We'll have to hold off on that.
Oh, bummer.
Planning on talking about it in court first before we talk about it publicly. I will say this, just that we have recently discovered that Nicholas Garino and Brian Tully handled cell phones involved in this case and did extractions. And that's very concerning because, as we saw yesterday on all over the news, in the arrest of Matthew Farwell.
Get him.
Yeah, which is a great thing. But Nicholas Garino was one of the investigating officers from the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, and he was in charge of downloading information off of Matthew Farwell's phone. And he said he couldn't find any messages between Birchmore and Farwell because they've been deleted, and he, the expert that he is, doesn't have the technology to find deleted messages. Well, luckily, when the feds took over that case, they did have the technology, and they found not one, not two, but over 32,000 messages between Sandra Birchmore and Matthew Farwell, many of which were just extremely disturbing, which were graphic, which talked about rape of minors, just deviancy and choking, and alluded to the fact that he was capable of murder. And Nicholas Garino intentionally withheld. He knew how to find it. He's not incompetent. He's corrupt. Nicholas Garino is a corrupt police officer who covers for other corrupt police officers. And Nicholas Garino is, if he had done his job early on, Matthew Farwell would have been in handcuffs a long time ago. Instead, he allowed his intentional malfeasance allowed Matthew Farwell to roam free. So I don't trust Nicholas Garino. And when I recently found out in the last week or so that he's involved in my case, which we weren't made aware of, that became extremely troubling as well. I don't want that guy touching any cell phones. I don't trust anything that he touches because he hides information. He hid it in the Sandra Birchmore case. He hid it in the Karen Reed case. He was the one in charge of downloading Jennifer McCabe's phone and didn't find anything about a 227 Google search for How Long to Die in Cold, or a 624 Google search for How Long to Die in Cold, nor did he find anything about any deleted phone calls from Jennifer McCabe. He got up on the stand and he lied his face off. He said that, well, you can't delete messages. That's impossible. Of course you can. Anyone with a cell phone knows you can. So I don't trust Nicholas Garino. He's a corrupt cop. He's a liar. The fact that we had to find out on our own through our own discovery that he was involved in this case is extremely disturbing, especially in light of the horrifying news yesterday about what was on those text messages between Matthew Farwell and Sandra Birchmore. So, no, he's not alone. There's others like him, and it's really disturbing. And this case is falling apart one by one. It's falling apart one by one.
Look at
we got Dukaki out there.
Leaning against
Dukaki, however you pronounce it, who is out there. He's allegedly a victim in this case, right? And he's out there investigating the case. Why is a victim in the case going around the countryside looking for new leads on this case that he's investigating? It's improper for him to be one of the detectives involved in this. This whole thing is improper from the beginning. I accused these people of corruption in the Reed case, and these same cops are the ones who trumped up these phony charges and had me arrested, by the state police fugitive unit, nonetheless. The same people that basically, all the bells and the whistles, the same people that, apprehended Farwell yesterday, are the same type of people that track me down like I'm some dangerous fugitive out there. It's ridiculous. It's offensive. And one by one, I was arrested on October 11th of last year. Think of how much changed since then. Michael Proctor is basically no longer a state police detective at all. Brian Tully is under internal affairs investigation. Yuri Buchanan is under internal affairs investigation. So a lot has changed since then, and I look forward to having the truth all come out in court when this is all said and done. So, thank you. Well, why do people go back to the crime scene? When they committed a crime, because they want to see what other people are doing. Why did Brian Higgins go to the Canton Police Department the night that John O'Keefe was killed? Woo! Yeah, buddy.
That's right.
They want to see what's going on. They want to be there. They want to act like they're innocent. They want to be around it. That's what criminals do. So they were there, and make no mistake about it. The matching uniforms and shoes aside, those guys are nervous. Those guys are nervous. They should be. They should be, because yesterday was a warning bell to them that the feds aren't messing around. The feds are out. They don't do well with police corruption. That's exactly what Matthew Farwell does. And because Matthew Farwell couldn't have done this alone, couldn't have walked free alone this whole time without the beneficiary of having friends in the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and the state police who provided cover for him. And God knows how many other people were put in danger by his 3.5 years on the loose since then. I took a podcast and, the Karen Reed case, those are the two factors that combined without, Kirk Minahan's podcast blowing this up and putting a spotlight on it and saying maybe this wasn't a suicide.
Yeah,
and without the Karen Reed case coming around and the same cast of characters being involved and people's antennas going up, I don't believe we'd ever have justice for Sandra Birchmore. So yesterday was a great day. We're going to have more great days coming in the future. Thank you. Love you guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
All right.
Everything you said was right.
All right. Ron, bro. Listen, dude. Have you been sleeping in class again? Okay. I need you to wake up. Okay, Ron. I need you to wake up. Okay, no more sleeping in class, all right? I'm tired of writing your referrals. I'm tired of sending you over to the principal's office. I'm tired of sending you there. Okay? Ron. Listen. You need to pay attention. Okay? Josh Levy just held a press conference yesterday saying that the U.S. Attorney's Office just indicted Matthew Farwell. And all of the people who investigated that case and claimed that it was a suicide, anybody who was in charge, short of Michael Proctor, was everybody who was involved in the Karen Reed cover-up was involved in this cover-up. And this is just step one. Farwell is step one. Ron, I need you to wake up during class, okay? Everybody here is paying attention but you, okay? All right? We're not gonna put you on timeout, okay? We're not gonna sit you in the corner. Just gotta wake up. Wake up. No more sleeping in class, Ron.
Why is that just recently coming to light? That's crazy.
Well, I know. Eve, I think there's so much data that they're still.
All right, hold on. Now, just to give you guys some context, while I still got you here, just to give you guys some context here, we saw basically just now how now we're going to be here a minute, but we saw how an honest judge would recuse themselves, right? Now, this is mostly targeted to the people who have not been following this case since pre-trial, okay? Who have not been following, and when I say this case, I mean the Karen Reed case. This is the nucleus of everything here, is the Officer John O'Keefe, Karen Reed case. Now, if you're just now starting to follow this case because you're seeing something stinks, fair enough, and we're glad. Everybody here who's been following this for a while is glad. I promise you that. This is for your benefit. If you're not aware of why people were already going, what in the fuck, and why everybody was in an uproar when this trial started, this will give you some insight. If you are wondering why everyone is just so Beverly Cannoni sucks, this is going to give you some insight. So again, folks, now this is we got to give propers where propers are due. Make sure to subscribe to Microdots. Now, Microdots, you're going to see for yourself. Microdots videos are just, they get better and better. A true artist, this guy. So what we're going to watch here, Microdots is going to break down basically how a dishonest judge does not recuse herself when she should. And also, if you're not subscribed to Microdots, please make sure to subscribe to Microdots. You're a fool if you're not subscribed to Microdots by the end of this live stream. AZ Major Chick gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. And yes, this is all based on Turtleboy's reporting.
That's
and you'll see,
Your Honor, against the court regularly, apparently, ruling on motions that directly benefit the Commonwealth.
Now, way back in the day, well over a year ago, the Karen Reed's defense filed for a motion for Judge Beverly Cannoni to recuse herself from the case. This is what happened.
Like when the court immediately ruled from the bench and granted 2 motions to quash subpoenas that favored Brian Albert and Jennifer McKay. For those records, there was no delay for that request. There were a series of requests.
Now, Judge Bev doesn't know how to mute everyone on Zoom.
Please turn off your audio.
Go ahead, Mr. Jackson. Best laid plans.
If you started paying attention to the Karen Reed case when the trial began, let me catch you up. The defense endured nearly 2 years of inexplicable delays and were prevented from examining crucial physical evidence by the Commonwealth. This was
all of this can be researched. All of this can be verified. You notice you got old Tully and Bukaki back here. All of this can be verified. If you follow this case pre-trial, you saw that Judge Beverly Cannoni showed inexplicable favoritism towards the prosecution, towards the Commonwealth, and some sort of strange disdain for the defense. It's very, very, very clear.
This was coupled with the court's refusal to assign deadlines, a set of circumstances once purportedly described by Karen Reed as a game of hide the football.
For the request that I just mentioned about the quashal motions, there was no delay by this court. The court made the rulings from the bench, and that made the public, in public commentary, question the court's motives. In fact, the court has unilaterally sought to even advance certain motions that the Commonwealth has presented.
Free my boy Billy Tibbetts.
If this seems more like a circus to you than a court of law, you are not alone. Judge Cannoni's courtroom has been the center of controversy before. In fact, only 10 days prior, this happened.
Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial.
Okay, now what you're seeing there might look like the wrapping up of the Karen Reed trial, because basically she says the same thing verbatim. This takes place much prior to the Karen Reed trial. So, just so you know. But interesting that
Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial.
The job is left unfinished. It leaves a really bad taste in your mouth, really bad feeling.
2 days after the murder trial of Weymouth Sergeant Michael Chesna and 77-year-old Vera Adams was declared a mistrial, we're hearing from Cindy Lavoie, who was the foreperson of that jury that could not reach a unanimous decision.
We don't want a mistrial.
Right.
That was the number one thing.
Lavoie says when the jury first started their deliberations, there was an even split, but that eventually more jurors came to an agreement that Emmanuel Lopes was guilty. However, Lavoie says there was one juror who agreed with the defense's argument that Lopes was having a psychotic episode and was not legally responsible for the murders, and that the juror completely shut down and would not engage in any conversations.
When somebody just doesn't want to participate and doesn't want to show you the information, how they got to a certain conclusion, it was so frustrating.
Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial.
Lavoie says it was gut-wrenching watching Sergeant Chesna and Vera Adams' family react to the news in the courtroom. That uneasiness only continuing once the jury was loaded onto the bus to head home for the final time.
And on that
completely different case. And Bev she seems to fucking just not give a shit.
Bus ride home, no one said a word. We were all just in our own heads and just deflated.
Quoting Turtleboy Daily News, a judge should never allow someone to disrespect their court like.
This is the second trial in a row, people. The second trial in a row where Judge Beverly Cannoni not only calls a mistrial, but we hear about jurors on the ride home on the bus feeling like justice was not served. Jurors feeling as though something is seriously wrong. When it's up to the jury, we rely on the jury to make the right just, to make the just happen. We rely on the jury to work hand in hand with the judge to do this. And this is the second occasion where the jury seems to feel as though they held up their end of that dynamic between juror and judge. They held up their end of that dynamic, but Judge Beverly Cannoni did not.
Like that. If this juror was too emotionally immature to handle a murder case without breaking down, then she should have been replaced.
Right.
There were two more alternates available. Now, let's jump back to the motion to recuse.
The court has unilaterally sought to advance motions that have been advanced by the Commonwealth while still not ruling on motions that we've had before the bench for not just days or weeks, but now months. And it's the disparity in that treatment.
Alan Jackson is calling out the court on her apparent bias in taking months to rule on defense motions, and only ruling from the bench when it benefits the Commonwealth. This would be consistent with the idea that the state aims to bleed Karen Reed dry of funds in order to force a plea. Karen hails from a squarely middle-class family, and they have poured every resource they have into funding her defense because they know she's innocent. Each time worksman Jackson Quinn fly in from California to attend a hearing, the cost falls on Karen.
Yeah,
she has
that shit
assembled a
costs money, dude.
top-notch legal team, including an audio-visual engineer and a 3D graphics expert. But quality defense doesn't come cheap. The Commonwealth is fully aware that every delay in the proceedings drains Karen's financial resources even further. Let us briefly jump ahead a few months in time, where attorney Elizabeth Little eloquently demonstrates the dirty tricks played by the Commonwealth.
Quote, the prosecution shall disclose to the defense and permit the defense to discover, inspect, and copy material and relevant tangible objects at or prior to the pretrial conference. Our first pretrial conference was on August 12, 2022. The compliance date for mandatory defense access to this physical evidence was more than a year ago. So when Mr. Lally stands up, as I believe he probably will, and says, we're almost done testing, the defense can have access to this in 30 days, I want to remind this court that we've been here before. In fact, we argued this exact same issue before the court 6 months ago. On February 8th of this year, Mr. Lally stood here in open court and made these promises. Quote, I did speak with the lab earlier this week, as well as last week, a couple of weeks ago, and on several different occasions. But my expectation from what I'm told is that their analysis and report should be complete within the next 30 to 60 days. Those were Mr. Lally's words in February. And my guess is that's what he's going to say today. But what is disturbing about those representations is that the crime lab actually keeps track of their communications with Mr. Lally. And when you review the crime lab conversation log, which was produced to us in discovery about a month ago, this is what you see. Quote, note to file, date January 3rd, 2023. Entry by John Buello. Person contacted, ADA Lally. Note, quote, emailed Commonwealth prosecutor on 11/21/2022 about the status of testing. No response back. Therefore, the trace items.
Now, if you follow Turtleboy's case and you've been following what's been happening in court when it comes to his charges, this is going to seem very familiar as well. This is the issue that Tim Bradel seriously had with Ken Mello.
Will not be tested at this time. If for any reason testing is needed, the items can be resubmitted to the lab for potential analysis. Trace assignment closed, no report. And what you also see is that between January 3rd, 2023, which is the date of that entry, and the date the Massachusetts State Police Lab apparently closed this case, and February 8th, which is the date that Mr. Lally stood here in court and made those representations that he was so desperately trying to expedite testing, there is not a single record of communication between Mr. Lally and the lab that's contained in that conversation.
Oops.
That's not Mr. Lally's hands being tied by lab protocols and lab procedures. In fact, the assignment was closed because he failed to answer his emails. That is deception.
This was the exact moment I knew that Lally wasn't simply incompetent. He was complicit.
Your Honor. So when the Commonwealth stands up and says the defense can have access to the physical evidence in 30 or 60 days, that's not good enough. We need court intervention.
That intervention never came. This judge refused to impose deadlines on the Commonwealth, allowing them to stall for years in providing evidence that normally takes weeks. Now, let's jump back to the motion to recuse.
Look, I don't disregard the fact that the court is a very busy court, that the court is a supervising court. The court has a lot of balls in the air. It's the disparity between the court's rulings in terms of the Commonwealth's motions and the defense motions that I think give the public pause, and that's where we need to start our analysis. Number two, the court seems to have deviated from the normal course of procedure, in this case, in order to specifically stay on the Karen Reed case. And the court only made that known, or at least known to us, to the defense, after the Commonwealth filed a request to gag the defense.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but when I watch this, for those of you who have seen this before, whether it be Microdot's video or whether it be you watch this during pretrial when it happened. Every time something like this happens, I feel so bad for Alan Jackson, David Yannetti, Eliza Little. I feel so bad for them because, especially in this particular scenario, I feel bad for Alan Jackson because they have to really, really cater to her bullshit asshole ego. You know, they really have to like dance around and tiptoe through the fucking tulips with this fucking asshole. It's really annoying, like, because I know that Alan Jackson just wants to be like, lady, are you kidding me with this shit? Are you fucking serious sitting up there? You know what I mean? Like, I know he wants to. No self-respecting person who has the slightest bit of integrity and character is not going to be bothered by the fact that this person who's sitting up there on the bench is not living up and setting an example of integrity to everyone else in that courtroom. That's got to be fucking annoying. And you've got to sit there and kiss this person's ass, for lack of a better term. It sucks. It sucks. I feel I have secondhand rage for Alan Jackson when I watch this.
The optic is that the court had or has a personal interest in ruling on that particular gag motion, which is on calendar today, and wants to keep control over this case. That move has also prompted the public to raise questions about the court's fairness. Why is that happening? Why is that happening? Why is that happening? Why is that happening? And it has eroded public confidence in the system, at least insofar as this case is concerned.
The benefits of rotating judges include promoting fairness and objectivity in the judiciary, as it reduces the risk of entrenched biases or conflicts of interest. The purpose of this practice is to prevent any one judge from developing undue familiarity toward a particular set of individuals. However, this judge decided to ignore the schedule and stay on the Reed case, even though she was to rotate off in July of 2023. The factors that led to this decision are a mystery, since no explanation was ever given. And as Alan Jackson just stated, it did appear to the public at the time that she extended her stay in order to rule on the Commonwealth's motion to gag the defense team. In fairness, she did ultimately deny that order. But would she have if the defense hadn't called her out?
Number three, the court outright denied Ms. Reed a full and fair opportunity to be heard, if the court recalls, the last time we were here on a critical Rule 17 motion.
Regardless of whether or not defense counsel and the Commonwealth agreed to an evidentiary hearing, there's no authority for it. I am not having an evidentiary hearing in this case.
Of course there's authority.
No.
Okay. Now, you got to stay with Microdots here because he kind of jumps back and forth here. But it's necessary to tell the story properly. And the interesting thing here is Microdots hasn't even gotten into why they're asking her to recuse herself. It's absolutely fascinating how overwhelming the reasons why she should are. And Microdots doesn't even go over one of the other reasons, which I will. But Microdots has gone over this. I'm just saying in this particular video, there's a whole other reason too. And this is wild.
I am not having an evidentiary hearing.
I mean, Gemma Cabe is the most important witness to this case. She was subpoenaed by the defense, and they're going to grill her. She would take the stand, and she would get ripped apart, probably get herself charged with murder herself. He can't let that happen, so he's filing this motion to quash. He wants to prevent that from happening. And they...
Right. So the defense wants... This is all pretrial, okay? This is all last year. The defense wants an evidentiary hearing. And what they want to do is they want to put Jen McCabe on the stand and they want to put other people in this. They want to put Jen McCabe on the stand, Colin Albert on the stand. They want to put all these people on the stand because they know about the 2:27 a.m. Google search from Jennifer McCabe. And they want to have an evidentiary hearing based on that. Now, the interesting thing here is Bev denies the evidentiary hearing. And Jen McCabe even filed a motion at one point to not have to testify. She had her attorney file a motion to not have to testify. Crystal J, thank you so much. Gifted 1 membership. Appreciate you. So that's what they're talking about here. That's what Turtleboy is talking about here. I'll go back to him explaining it.
An evidentiary hearing.
I mean, Jen McCabe is the most important witness to this case. She was subpoenaed by the defense, and they're going to grill her. She would take the stand, and she would get ripped apart, probably get herself charged with murder herself. He can't let that happen, so he's filing this motion to quash. He wants to prevent that from happening. And they filed these motions 2 days before the hearing. Jen McCabe was subpoenaed 2 weeks ago. She waited until now when Alan Jackson and Elizabeth Little are in the air, flying in at Karen Reed's expense. And I guess he didn't think that they might bring these guys in. And so you're the one that said we could do this.
So there will not be an evidentiary hearing on Rule 17 motion. I will hear you, even though the Commonwealth says that this is a regurgitation of the first motion.
May 3rd, all parties agreed to an evidentiary hearing and scheduled it for May 25th. The defense orders witnesses to testify, including Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert, Troopers Proctor, and Guareno. The Commonwealth realizes exactly how treacherous it would be to have these 4 unprepared witnesses testify at such an early stage of the cover-up. On May 23rd, 2 days before the evidentiary hearing, the Commonwealth files motions to prevent it all from happening. An emergency hearing is scheduled for the next day, May 24th. This brings us to the present situation. Judge Canoni has just informed the defense team that despite prior agreement, the evidentiary hearing will not take place.
Wow.
What makes this especially suspicious is the judge's decision to cancel a scheduled hearing so close to the date and allowing the Commonwealth to make such disruptive last-minute moves. Adding to the concern is her absolute refusal to discuss the matter with the defense. She is adamant that no evidentiary hearing will take place. For a judge...
Right. So let's recap. May 3rd, agreed to an evidentiary hearing, and they subpoenaed witnesses. May 23rd, the state files a motion, and this thing is it's set. The date for it is set on May 25th. The date for this evidentiary hearing that everyone agreed to, that Judge Beverly Canoni set a date for, May 25th. Okay? On the 24th, the day before that, they hold an emergency session to discuss a motion filed by the Commonwealth on the 23rd. So, May 3rd, they set a date for the 25th to have an evidentiary hearing. 2 days before that, the state files a motion, and then on the day after that state files the motion, which is the date before the agreed upon date, they have an emergency hearing. And this is what Beverly Canoni does during that emergency hearing.
Judge who typically takes everything under advisement. She made a series of unusually swift decisions that likely spared the Commonwealth from disastrous consequences.
I will hear you on the Rule 17 motion now. So, Mr. Jackson, I'll hear you on your Rule 17 motion.
Your Honor, with regard to Rule 17, very clearly...
And I actually think Mike Erdots is about to do what I'm about to do right now. But, like, you could see Alan Jackson totally fucking like, what is going on here? He's blindsided. He has no fucking idea what is happening right now.
This is not, as the court just indicated, a regurgitation of anything. It's a brand new motion.
Watch closely here as Alan Jackson is uncharacteristically speechless, stunned by what he's just heard this judge say in open court. Remember, Jackson himself has decades of experience as a prosecutor. Judge Cannoni is kind enough to hear him argue his motion, despite the Commonwealth's claim that it's simply a regurgitation of one that came previously. If anyone can sense the rot of corruption, it's Alan Jackson. I can only imagine what he's thinking in this moment. Regardless, he's not ready to let this go just yet.
Totally. So Alan Jackson is sitting there going, okay, this is my job. This is why I was hired. I was hired because I'm imagining what Alan Jackson's thinking right here. Okay, fuck. This lady's dirty as fuck. And I've got to just pull a rabbit out of a hat here. This is what I was hired for. This is why I was hired. Because this case is all kinds of fucked up. And everybody in it, I had to assume, was corrupt. And now I'm seeing the judge is probably corrupt too. This is fucked up. So what do I do here? That's what Alan Jackson is going through in his head right now.
I understand and respect the court's ruling. I am confused, and I must say I don't quite understand the court's ruling, given the fact that the Commonwealth has taken such a vigorous position in their affidavit on the facts that are referred in our Rule 17 motion. It seems to me that would be the perfect opportunity, even if it's limited to the experts on the issue of the Google search.
Okay, so I understand, Mr. Jackson, that you wanted an evidentiary hearing. There will not be one.
She absolutely will not allow it to happen under any circumstances. It feels like she did someone a very big favor.
Our question would be...
Now, I want to be very clear before I continue this. I made a point speaking with Mike from the Young Jerks. I was on his panel the other day, and we discussed Beverly Cannoni and corruption. And my take, and I'm not sure if I've said this on this channel, but my take is, yes, I believe Beverly Cannoni to be absolutely corrupt. And my reason for that is, now, you're thinking of corruption. You might be thinking of corruption like, okay, well, she's taking bribes, or she's being threatened, or whatever the fuck, right? Some sort of shit you'd see in a movie. That's not what I mean by corruption. It could be. I'm not saying that's not the case, but I'm saying she is absolutely, without a doubt, corrupt, because when you are an officer of the court, especially in a high position such as hers, your duty is to act in the interest of justice. Your duty is, once you take an oath, that oath, you are locked into a moral obligation to uphold justice, to make decisions in the interest of justice and justice alone. That is your job. And if I have seen one judge make decision after decision after decision to the point to where I could say that these decisions are consistent, that Judge Beverly Cannoni has consistently made decisions that are not in the interest of justice, that is corrupt. If you have a file in your computer that has been somehow fucked in some way, well, then it is corrupt. It is no longer what it says it is supposed to be. It is no longer that. That means it is corrupt. It has been corrupted. Judge Beverly Cannoni, in my opinion, of what the definition of corrupt is, she absolutely falls in that. Because I have yet to see a series of decisions from Beverly Cannoni that I would say are consistent with acting in the interest of justice.
What is the Commonwealth so desperately afraid of?
It's not unusual for record holders to oppose motions for their data. They have their right to privacy. However, the Commonwealth has also joined in opposing those motions. What possible interest could the state of Massachusetts have in keeping Brian Albert and Jen McCabe's phone records private? They are witnesses in a murder trial. So why do they care?
Right.
The state's role should be to seek truth and justice. Withholding records in no way advances that goal.
Another consistent thing that I've seen since pretrial and throughout trial is that the Commonwealth seems to be more interested in protecting the McAlberts than proving their case against Karen Reed. That is very telling to me. That is extremely telling to me.
Go. Jackson is skillfully taking this opportunity to question their motives.
Why are they so desperately afraid of us getting the materials, the documents, the data, and the physical phone that we've sought, respectively, under the Rule 17 motion for Brian Albert's phone and the data associated therewith, for Jennifer McCabe's cell phone data as it pertains to the cell records? What are they afraid of? They seem to be desperately fearful that we're actually going to get to the truth of what actually happened.
Now, let's jump back to the motion to recuse.
And that brings me to the final point and dovetails into that final point. Sean McCabe,
the argument was, oh, well, why should their privacy be violated? They've done nothing wrong. But here's the thing. Jen McCabe claimed to be friends with Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe. Brian Albert claimed to be friends with Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe. Brian Albert is a fellow Boston Police veteran. Why would he not step up in any way possible? Why would he and John O'Keefe's other friend Jen McCabe fight and do everything they can against volunteering any type of support or help that they can towards convicting Karen Reed, getting justice for their friend? If they're so interested in justice for their friend, why wouldn't they just volunteer their phones and just be like, whatever, man, if this does it, then this does it. It sucks, but it is what it is. I got nothing to hide. Why?
a member of the McCabe family and a brother-in-law of Jennifer McCabe.
Now pay close attention to
When
this,
we have
folks.
argued,
Especially those of you who started following this at trial and aren't familiar with pre-trial. Pay close attention to this.
brother-in-law of Jennifer, Sean McCabe, a member of the McCabe family and a brother-in-law
Sean McCabe.
of Jennifer McCabe,
Brother-in-law of Jen McCabe.
whom we have argued in this court, should have at least been a suspect or a
You're going to
subject.
show that this way, Ms. Little. Why don't you show it to me? Thank you.
By the way, Judge Beverly Cannoni does not like when the defense shows chalks. We'll jump ahead briefly to view another example.
For those to have any evidentiary value, you have to trust the person who had custody of John O'Keefe's clothing before it was sent to the lab.
So, Ms. Little, I'm not looking at any, if you show them to the audience.
Now, if some of you are in the dark about how why you'll see a lot of people refer to Judge Beverly Cannoni as anti-Bev, this will explain it.
Before you show them to me, I'm not going to look at them. Okay, please put that down. Mr. Yannetti,
So there
do
is
you
a
have
picture,
chalks?
if I'm not mistaken, there is a picture of a pile of Boston police officer John O'Keefe's clothing. Those are his feet laying in the hospital And those are his clothing in a pile laying on the floor in the hospital. The very clothing that they claim that they found. Thank you, Lisa Oldhams. Thank you so much. The very clothing that they claim to have found microscopic pieces of taillight, which was never brought up in trial, by the way. The very clothing that was not entered into evidence until 3 weeks after this photo was taken. This is part of the reason they wanted an evidentiary hearing. Because common sense would dictate that the evidence that they're claiming to have is no good. This is one of the many reasons why this should have never went to trial. Again, this is a pre-trial hearing, and they're trying to argue the fact that there's no discovery here. There's no chain of custody documented for this evidence.
For your bail argument, please put that down. Do you have chalks for your bail argument?
I have one chalk that I was intending to show the court at the
So
appropriate time.
I don't need to see a chalk, Mr. Yannetti.
And now back to the motion to recuse.
Sean McCabe made a.
If you guys want to support Microdots, please do so, man. So I pinned his Patreon link to the top of the chat. So make sure to join his Patreon.
Claim to a reporter in public, claiming to have a personal relationship.
Now, you see what that says? This is a Sean McCabe. Now, this is this is a, I believe, this is a DM exchange between Turtleboy and Sean McCabe, if I'm not mistaken. And here you see Eliza Little holding a big old card here. They were ready for an evidentiary hearing. You can tell. And it says here, do you really have a line to Judge Cannoni? Right? That's Turtleboy being a journalist and asking a question. Do you really have a line to Judge Cannoni? And then Sean McCabe, Jen McCabe's brother-in-law, says, Auntie Bev, whose seaside cottage do you think we're going to bury your corpse under? That's the response that Sean McCabe sent Turtleboy. Auntie Bev, whose seaside cottage do you think we're going to bury your corpse under?
Relationship with this court. And he tried to prove it by citing to the fact that Sean McCabe knows personal information about the judge, which is extremely troubling, about a beach home, not just the fact that the court may own one, but exactly where it is. His words were, after receiving Sean McCabe's words were, after receiving a question from the reporter, do you really have a line to Judge Cannoni? His answer was, Auntie Bev, and I mean no disrespect, I'm quoting, Auntie Bev, whose seaside cottage.
Now, you see, Alan Jackson is again, kid gloves here. He's like, I mean no disrespect. I'm just reading what it says here, Your Honor. But Alan Jackson is sitting there in his head going, this bitch is fucking dirty.
Bury your corpse under.
Where he says, I just called in an order asking Judge Bev to institute a trial by combat order against you. It is weird that this guy is just throwing around her name like that days after a hearing that was very favorable to his sister-in-law, that prevented her from taking the stand and answering why she Googled this at 2:27 a.m. She never had to do that. And that's odd that this guy is all of a sudden acting like she's on Team McCabe. That's interesting. And I go, do you really have a line to her? And he goes, Auntie Bev, whose seaside cottage do you think we're going to bury your corpse under? And indeed, she does have a house in Centerville, in part of Barnstable. So that's interesting. How does he know that?
Extremely troublesome dialogue, but it's not just the threat that's inherent in the dialogue. That's on one level.
Yeah.
It's the fact that this person claimed to know that.
Right. There's layers to this shit. Let me rewind that because I just so you understand. Alan Jackson's explaining there's layers to just this one message right here.
But it's not just the threat that's inherent in the dialogue. That's on one level. It's the fact that this person claimed to know that this court may own a beachside cottage somewhere. Your Honor, I will say I've appeared before hundreds. At this point, I'm getting old. I may have appeared before thousands of judges in my nearly 30-year career. I've never, ever known where a single one of them has ever lived or property they may or may not have owned.
Yeah.
But Sean McCabe appears to know, and he appears to intimate that he knows the details of this court's personal life.
Right.
And it was his family that benefited by the cancellation of the evidentiary hearing, and it was his family that benefited from the court's quashal of our subpoenas.
Let me break that down real quick. So you have this person who says that they not only have a line to Beverly Cannoni, but she's also Auntie Bev, who owns a seaside cottage, who just threatened to bury Turtleboy under the seaside cottage. The person doing this is the brother-in-law of Jennifer McCabe. Jennifer McCabe, who directly benefits from the motion being from the Commonwealth being approved, being put through. Think about that. Now, if that isn't more than sufficient reason for a judge to recuse themselves from a case, then I don't know what is. But there's more to it than that. But I'll get to that later.
Claim by a McCabe family member of a personal connection to this court has been the fodder, Your Honor, of myriad public comments and questions about this court's ability to maintain fairness over this particular proceeding. And if that weren't enough, the defense has just recently received information that another witness, a seminal witness for the prosecution, by the name of Julie Nagel, who was in Julie Nagel, Nagel. N-A-G.
Now, this footage is from trial, but what Alan Jackson, that footage from Alan Jackson was pre-trial. This is long before Julie Nagel ever took the stand.
E-E-L. Who was inside the house at 34 Fairview on the night of John O'Keefe's death.
Something out of the ordinary, like a black blob in the ground by the flagpole.
Apparently some 5 months after John's murder, and this is all public. We didn't have to do any digging and searching with subpoenas or otherwise. This was all public information. She used a Venmo app to pay for what appears to be a beach house rental, and the recipient on the Venmo payment.
Oh, that's interesting. So here, Julie Nagel is paying Judge Cannoni for rental of said cottage by the seaside. Julie Nagel, who was inside 34 Fairview Road on the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022, the very late night, early morning where Boston police officer John O'Keefe met his demise, very location, very date, and she paid Judge Beverly Cannoni, according to this Venmo transaction, money for use of her cottage. Is everybody still, is the class still with me?
Payment reads Franklin Beverly. And that's a public payment. It was there for all the world to see. And as soon as a reporter picked up on that, which is how we found out about it.
That reporter being Turtleboy, who's sitting right there.
And publicized that. she immediately took that payment down and took it off the internet. Your Honor, there has been an undeniable erosion of public confidence in this court's ability to be fair. But let me be very, very clear. The decision to recuse or disqualify a court due to the appearance of impartiality is not an indictment of this court's competence or integrity. It is not an indictment of this court's character. Nowhere close, and we do not aver that at all. Rather, the decision should be an expression of the unwavering commitment that this court has to justice, to fairness, to the rule of law.
I personally do not, nor have I ever had any questions, even a moment of pause in regard to this court's ability to be fair and impartial on this or any other case.
Of course you haven't. Of course you've never had any doubts that Judge Beverly Cannoti could be fair and impartial. Of course not.
You wouldn't expect the person directly benefiting from unfairness to take issue with it being perpetuated inside this courtroom. Let's see what other valuable insights the Assistant District Attorney has to offer.
Whether the court, Your Honor, chooses to retain jurisdiction of this case, or passes to another judge to retain jurisdiction of this case, or passes from judge to judge as the judges rotate in and out of the session, really is of no consequence to the Commonwealth.
If it really is of no consequence to the Commonwealth, then why is Lally about to fervently argue against the defense's motion? He could have rested and said nothing at all. This is
right. Why didn't he just be like, okay, yeah, we don't have a problem with it. Whatever, judge. I mean, he just literally said the words like, if you bring this judge and then another judge and another judge, we're cool with that. No problem. But
This is because he knows what's obvious to everyone paying attention, and that is the judge had been extremely favorable to the Commonwealth up until this point.
Right.
And would continue to rule progressively more in their favor all the way through the first trial to this present day.
But what I would say is that, again, that operative term being reasonable, and the three sort of key things the council seems to want to hang their hat on is essentially first being some conversation.
Yes. I love how Microdots is a fucking artist, man. Microdots is a fucking artist, but it's so funny that like even Microdots, like in his, like I just picture Microdots being like making this video, and as tedious as it is, and adding the music and doing all this stuff to like make this amazing video. Like even him in his most artistic point was like, I can't deal with motherfucking Lolly, dude. I got to speed this bitch up, man. This motherfucker is the most boring piece of shit on the planet. I got to speed this guy up. Like this is just too fucking much.
Between two individuals who have literally nothing to do with this case, who talk about this case in an online discussion. And there's a great many things that are said in that online discussion, but we seem to be focusing on just this one thing and accepting this is true because this is what this person said. Whereas there are a great number of other sort of defamatory things that are said by this person, Mr. McCabe, in reference to this blogger. And we're not jumping to the conclusion that any of those things are true. I don't know whether they are or they aren't, but I'm just saying that we're focusing on this one particular thing.
Let's be clear. The credibility of Sean McCabe's insults against the reporter are immaterial to whether or not there's an appearance of impartiality in this case. Once again, ADA Lally attempts to bring the focus back onto Turtleboy.
From that attachment the council filed as far as that conversation, which is veered to be a true and accurate
I noticed it last night when I was watching it. I was dying. I was cracking up.
Transaction of that conversation.
Lally complains that the messages sent between Sean McCabe and Turtleboy are not the complete record of the entire conversation. This coming from the same prosecutor who presented this screenshot allegedly showing Colin Albert's message to Ali McCabe requesting she pick him up from 34 Fairview Road, widely believed to be counterfeit, if not incomplete. And then there's this utter abortion of justice. But we'll save that for another time.
But from what's attached, direct the court's attention to page 6, in which Mr. McCabe intimates in there that he doesn't really know anything about the case.
Lally continues to miss the point. If the McCabe family did indeed have an inappropriate relationship with the judge, how would Sean McCabe's level of knowledge of the case make a difference?
Right.
It's completely irrelevant.
Okay. Additionally, I would direct the court's attention to page 9, where I think it's pretty clear from there that the recipient of these communications, this blogger, doesn't even believe Mr. McCabe himself in his vehementness that he knows the court or is familiar with the court or has any influence over the court.
Whether Turtleboy himself personally believes Sean McCabe's statements or not does not affect the greater public's perception of impartiality.
And lastly, from that attachment, I direct the court's attention to page 11, in which it references earlier posts by this blogger about the judge. And that's, again,
Lally uses this opportunity to inform the judge that she herself has been the subject of Turtleboy's reporting, in case she wasn't aware.
I think we're looking at this divorced from the context in which this communication arises. This is not something that Mr. McCabe just generates out of his own head, as far as, along with a litany of other assertions that he makes in reference to this blogger. But it comes from prior posts and prior communications that were expressed by this blogger of already intimating impartiality by the court, just in reference to adverse rulings, which brings me to my second sort of underpinning of this motion, being that the court has, I guess, adversely ruled or denied motions that were filed by the defendant. I don't really see that as being any sort of valid basis for judges to recuse themselves. Otherwise, every time a judge denies a motion, then we're going to have to find a different judge because they don't agree with me. And in particular, they're pointing to a motion which had absolutely no basis in the rules of criminal procedure whatsoever as far as having an evidentiary hearing on Rule 17 motion. And the third thing, as far as deviation from procedure of the Norfolk Superior Court, there are a number of cases that different judges might hold on to for a period of time. They might assign themselves to or be assigned to retain jurisdiction. And the court, hearing this motion or any other motions in this case going forward, regardless of whatever session Your Honor is assigned to, is really of no consequence, and it's really not anything that's out of the ordinary. As evidenced by
I pointed that out earlier. They're right back there.
Conducted before Your Honor last November of a co-defendant. There's a scheduled trial date coming up in this November of the co-defendant from that prior trial. It's not
right
an
here.
abnormal thing for this court or any court to do. For those reasons, again, I would pray upon the court as far as the decision is concerned, but as far as the Commonwealth is concerned, there's no request for the court to recuse themselves, and whatever judge hears the case is whatever judge hears the case. Thank you.
Do you want to respond, Mr. Jackson?
Very, very briefly, the only thing I would draw both the Commonwealth and the court's attention to is the person that made
that shit went back to normal. Alan
Sean
Jackson
McCabe is related to Jennifer McCabe. He's a brother. He also didn't just throw sort of a dart at an empty dartboard. He hit the target.
Right.
Because he made a claim that he had a personal relationship with this court, or at least his family had a personal relationship with this court. And that turned out to be at least some of the facts that he made, or that he claimed in the post, turned out to be true.
Right. So what Alan Jackson is saying here is, it's not a coincidence here. You know what I mean? This dude didn't just take a shot in the dark. He provided Judge Beverly Cannoni, Alan Jackson, Karen Reed's defense team provided Judge Beverly Cannoni with proof that Sean McCabe knew a lot about Judge Beverly Cannoni, that a lot of it came to be true. And they're not, since this is being aired all over the world, all over the internet, Alan Jackson's like, I'm not going to blast this shit, but I gave it to you. You're seeing that this person knows you. This person, Sean McCabe, fucking knows you. This isn't just some shit out there. This is intimate details about your life that this family knows about you.
And we've attached that. I'm going to be delicate about my comments here because it's sealed, and it should be sealed. That portion should be sealed or impounded. But it turns out that it's true, and the courts had access to, had an opportunity to see that. Also, with regards to the second post, it's also true in terms of the family members' names. It's not like they're just
True what?
The family members' names.
Okay.
This court's family members' names, which I don't need to repeat here. But
right.
There is some fact-based information that troubled us.
Fact-based information saying that Sean McCabe has intimate details about Judge Beverly Cannoni's family, and now we're seeing it. And there you see Tully and Bukkake right back here. Yeah, smile, assholes. Okay. I want to be very clear. You see this guy right here? If you could see my cursor, okay? See this head that I'm circling right here? Below this neck, below this tie, and right about down here at the seat of his pants right now, not in this video, but right now, in the seat of his pants right here, there is a big old load of shit because Matthew Farwell was just now indicted. And I promise you, I guarantee you that that is just a prelude to shit going up the ladder. That is just a prelude to what Josh Levy's office is about to do. And Tully is Michael Morrissey's right hand. Make no mistake about it. It is his henchman, his right hand. So again, right here, this guy, below the neck, below this tie, and right down here where his seat of his pants are, is a big old steamy pile of shit. 24/7, because the feds are coming for him, and it's just a matter of time.
Because it turns out to be somewhat true. Now, the last thing that I'll say is that the Commonwealth's position was it may not be true. There's a bunch of invectives in that string of communications between the investigative reporter and Sean McCabe, and half that stuff may be true.
Jackson is about to advance the most important point of the entire hearing.
And Mr. Lally words were, I don't know if they're true. And that's the point. He doesn't know if they're true. I don't know if they're true. I hope they're not true. I desperately hope that what Sean McCabe said is not true, but it doesn't matter what I think. It only matters what the public perceives might be the case. And the word might is in the rule. It doesn't have to be the case. But a reasonable person looking at this from the outside looking in, if they're disinterested, might they think that the court has some relationship that would compromise the court's ability to be fair. That's enough, and at that point, it triggers this court's requirement to disqualify itself.
Right.
That's all. We're not suggesting that the court is not fair nor impartial. Nor partial.
Now, it's not brought up in this video, folks, but that's just one reason why Beverly Cannoni should recuse herself. Many of you are already aware of the other reason. For those of you who are not, I will tell you. Judge Beverly Cannoni's brother Judge Beverly Cannoni's brother represented Chris Albert in a vehicular manslaughter case back in the early 90s. Chris Albert killed a man with his vehicle. And Judge Beverly Cannoni's brother represented him. This is a fact. This happened. So that's another reason why there's a conflict of interest and Judge Beverly Cannoni should recuse herself. So you add that on top of the fact that she seems to have this very familial relationship with the McCabes. Well, then one would assume that she has that relationship with the Alberts. One would assume that she has that relationship with the Proctors even. I mean, if there's even the possibility of it, that should be enough for Judge Beverly Cannoni to recuse herself from this case. Just what the public perceives. That is Alan Jackson's argument here. It's not about whether it's true or not, Your Honor. Nobody here is accusing you of being unfair or impartial. What we're saying is the public perceives that you could be unfair and impartial for good reason, thanks to this new information that is now very public. Because it's a little strange. It's a little strange that as soon as Turtleboy reported that Venmo exchange between Judge Beverly Cannoni and her husband Frank and Julie Nagel, it disappeared. It became private. Right. Exactly, Microdots. No way. And that was the other thing. It just bugs the shit out of her that there is an independent journalist as tenacious and as obnoxious as Turtleboy can be out there getting the truth. Because that's what really chaps people's ass. Let's just be honest. People just don't like Turtleboy because they don't like how arrogant he comes off. I mean, okay. But, you know, I've been watching wrestling for goddamn way too long, man. Now, I haven't watched it in a while, but I grew up with that shit. And for some reason, that shit speaks to me. That type of arrogance. And when you have that kind of cartoonish arrogance and you can back it up, I'm all for it. But I can see how that rubs some people the wrong way. But the problem with that is you are still trying to deny that there's validation behind Turtleboy's work. You're still trying to deny it. Everything that has been happening and unfolding has been validating Turtleboy and everything that he has been working on uncovering and has been uncovering consistently, just one thing after the other. For the months and months that I've been following this case, Turtleboy has been on point. For the same reason why I liked The Rock before The Rock became a good guy, when he was still a heel, the same reason why I liked Stone Cold Steve Austin while he was still a heel. He backed his shit up. You know what I mean? They backed their shit up. They talked the house of shit. And I mean the house of shit. But they backed it up. I mean, I realize it's wrestling. It's fake, you know? I mean, it's not fake, but it's, you know, it's staged. It's rehearsed anyway. It's or not necessarily rehearsed, but it's predetermined is the way to put it. Right? Well, Little Irish Girl too. A Deadpool quality, you know? I mean, that's the thing. I like that shit. Because I say, and if you got it, fuck yeah, man, run your mouth. Do it. Hell yeah. I hope Turtleboy gets his monetization back. I hope that Turtleboy can absolutely appeal his monetization once he hits 100,000 subscribers. I don't know how that works. I don't know if you can do that. But I feel like that would be a good incentive for YouTube to want to partner with him in that sense, because YouTube gets 30% of anything that Turtleboy would generate through that monetization. And I mean, 100,000 subscribers, and you're not in a partnership with this person? I mean, you know, now he does fine without the monetization, but it'd be nice to see him get everything that's due. But see, I'm that guy, man. I'm like, yeah, the louder this motherfucker is, the more I like him. Straight up. The louder this motherfucker is, the more I like him. Because everything this dude has done, this guy has put his life in danger. We know that he has already put his freedom in danger. You can imagine what it takes to fucking get in the face of cop killers, accusing them of being cop killers, knowing that they're cop killers, and just trying to get them to fucking lose their temper in front of you and admit to it. That takes balls. Dude's got my respect. Because I'm telling you right now, Karen Reed ain't no cop killer. And there's a sure hell of a lot of familiar names floating around when it comes to some familiar sounding corruption that's taken place in Norfolk County. And when I see a name like Josh Levy and words like U.S. Attorney and Department of Justice and FBI floating around those names after I've seen Turtleboy do what he's done? Well, shit. Hell yeah. Turtleboy. 100%. I hope everything works out for that dude. Like, and I hope everybody who hates him for it just eats the big dick for it. Like, I like straight up. I can't remember the last time I rooted more for somebody just out of sheer spite. Just out of sheer spite. I'm rooting for this motherfucker to win just so fucking dickheads have to eat a dick. Dumb idiots who just hate to hate. I can't wait. I love it. It's like sprinkles on my ice cream. My ice cream and the cone being indictments coming down. And Turtleboy's haters having to eat a big fat dick. That's the sprinkles on that cone for me, bro. I'm a big fan. I love that shit. I love that shit.
We're suggesting the public may perceive it that way, and they reasonably have perceived it that way. And also,
Okay. It's 2:35. I'm going to take a 20-minute break to consider what I've heard here today. Obviously, I've read everything in advance, but let's
thank you.
All right.
While Judge Cannoni is taking 15 minutes to deliberate on the recusal, let us take a moment to assess whether there was substantive evidence indicating that the public perception of this case was genuinely declining. This was happening right outside on the steps.
I mean, the fact is everyone here deserves credit. Everyone that's standing out there, 100%. These are my favorite people in the world. Everyone who I've met through this case have become my favorite people. I don't even hate the people who hate on Karen Reed. I mean, I don't really feel one way or the other about him, but I don't hate him, you know? But all of these people are amazing. But the fact of the matter is all of these people are acting based on information that they obtained thanks to Turtleboy. That is a fact. Now, that's not any reason to like worship the guy as a fucking cult leader. Nobody's doing that. People are like, oh my God, Turtleboy, your leader, Turtleboy, the leader. No, man. Like, these are just people who understand where to give credit to. That's it. They're grateful for being made aware of the corruption that's taking place where they live. That's it. That's it.
You are unmuted. So I appreciate the arguments of counsel. I've considered those arguments. I've considered the pleadings, the motion, the attached affidavits, the
Bev was back there fucking playing Candy Crush.
big pack of attachments to the motions. I've considered those placards that were shown here today. A couple of them I hadn't seen before. So the defendant raises 4 discussion points in their motion. There's some claim delay in my rendering decisions. There's dissatisfaction with adverse rulings and alleged impropriety of retaining jurisdiction. But notably, there's some allegation that I have some relationship with a man named Sean McCain, and that therefore I have a connection.
Okay, there's nobody alleged. They're saying whether the fucking shit is true or not, the public is going to perceive it that way. That was the defense's argument, not that they're accusing you. So here's Bev taking shit all personal. I wonder why. Why would she take it all personal? Because I bet you anything, what she's doing is pissed off. You want to know what I think Judge Bev was doing while she was back there considering the arguments? Well, how could you be so fucking stupid and to contact that Turtleboy guy of all people and tell him that you know me? Jesus, do you realize the position you put me in? I've got TV cameras outside, for God's sake. Jesus. How could you be so stupid? Oh, I've got to get back. Which is why she was out of breath, because she ran back after she hung up the phone with Sean McCabe or whoever the fuck she was talking to.
Connection to this case, and therefore I have a bias in favor of the Commonwealth.
Strawmanning refers to a type of argumentative tactic where someone misrepresents or oversimplifies their opponent's position to make it easier to refute. Alan Jackson went to great lengths to make it clear that his concern was the perception of partiality by a disinterested public. But it's much easier for Judge Cannoni to pretend she's been accused of being biased herself and then deny it.
That simply is not the truth. I can assure all parties that I don't know Sean McCabe. As far as I know, I have never spoken to him or had any contact with him.
She said she was another.
Free my boy Billy Timmons.
I've never interacted with him, and I certainly never have socialized with him or with any family members or any witnesses whose names have been said here.
That may be true, but what about Michael Morrissey? Besides Karen Reed, he may have the most riding on the outcome of this case. Him and this judge are around the same age. Both grew up in Quincy and have both been working within the Massachusetts legal system for decades.
Oops.
We know that the judge's mother was employed by Morrissey's wife for years back in the 1990s. How well they know each other and when they last communicated remains as lingering questions, yet to be answered. But how could that possibly work? Well, he would need a judge in his corner, someone willing to stay on the case instead of rotating off. A judge who wouldn't raise an eyebrow when tampered evidence appeared on the screen, wouldn't question which trooper was assigned to manage the jury, or ask how the three most pro-Karen jurors were suddenly eliminated at the last minute. Not in on the cover-up, just willing to look the other way. What is your perception of this court? Please let us know in the comments.
Always been ambitious to move this man. Trooper Proctor has a sister who has a friend who has a sister who
Now-
has a husband who
Mike Gerdos was referring to his own video, which I'm streaming, but the link to Karen Reed's defense fund is actually in the description of this live. So
has a brother, who has a wife, who has a sister, who is Jennifer McCabe.
and that is pinned to the top of the chat.
That same Apple Health data has, among other things, Mr. O'Keefe taking 46 steps and traveling a certain bit of distance. It's around 11:56 a.m. on January 29th. The problem with that is that he was pronounced deceased at the Good Samaritan Medical Center at 7:50 a.m., some 4 hours prior.
This is awesome.
He comes into the house and he's attacked by the dog. I'm just a little confused as far as are they in the conspiracy? Or are these people sort of let out of the conspiracy because they say something that doesn't further that conspiracy? She's fucked.
Where's your brother, Kevin?
I didn't do anything wrong in this.
If they're all
Why is Adam Lally dressed like he's gonna fucking play a fucking dueling piano in a fucking Billy Joel fucking tribute bar show.
The house. And Mr. O'Keefe comes in the house and gets attacked by a dog and then gets dragged out to the bottom of the lawn and left there for dead. Then why do they all testify that no one came into the house?
Peace of the world.
You may be right.
We'd like to ask you some questions. And as governor, I am disgusted.
You guys made that?
Yes. I'm not on your lawn. I'm on the street.
What if anything is wrong with the car I'm driving? Can you tell that it's out of style?
How long is that for?
CUNT. Declaring mistrial.
Everybody's like, what the fuck?
You think your actions impacted the outcome of the trial?
We're all in on the same joke, right?
Find ourselves at an impasse.
It's our responsibility at the U.S. Attorney's Office
Yeah,
to
me too.
investigate
Dad.
allegations of public corruption.
Open internal affairs investigation.
There's a kind of backups.
Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial in this case.
Shame on us.
Thank you, Jam Cracker. Oh my goodness, folks. People, microdots. Yo. Yeah. Oh, wait. I think microdots is here. Is that?
And his name is John C.
Wrong guy. Sorry, my bad. Couldn't see him anyway. Oh man. Oh man. Give me 1 second, folks. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna do, folks. You know what I think I'm gonna do? Give me 1 second here, folks. All right. All right. All right. All right. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. All right. If anybody wants to call in, they can call in. Let's do this. After a hard fall where I land on my knuckles to break it, I go for a bang. Bang, bang. I want my money. Bang. I want my money. I'll settle for Callie Andes. Or Callie Sandy's, excuse me. Will, you're the bomb too. Thank you so much, Callie Sandy. Appreciate you. No callers? Nobody wants to call in? No callers? Really? Really?
Call from Reality Check.
Reality Check.
Yes.
What's up, Reality Check?
Not much. Just trying to get through some of this stuff that has happened the last 24 hours.
Okay. Start somewhere and work your way. Let's go. We got it. You got this.
Okay.
I believe in you, Reality
I know
Check.
I do.
I believe in you.
Thanks. Just especially with Matt being picked up, thrown in, trying to wrap my head around whether he's going to flip or just let himself hang on, or if he thinks they're going to get him out of this. Wondering what Garino's thinking, wondering what Fanning's thinking. You're all over X, and people are like, well, Fanning didn't do anything wrong just because he couldn't find anything. And
Wait.
Garino didn't do anything.
I actually just found some footage of Guarino. Hold on. Here we go. I found it.
No. Wait.
There you go. Yeah, he's shitting himself right now. Guaranteed.
Oh my God. And even with our case, I've been digging into other things like Patrick Rogers, because with all of this, I'm not even sure that Patrick Rogers was a suicide.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with the Patrick Rogers case.
Patrick Rogers was John O'Keefe's best friend. He was on
Oh,
the
yeah.
show with Brian Albert.
That's right. A lot of people are saying that that's not a coincidence, that there's something there with that.
Well,
and that there
Janelle
could be
Jimenez
motive.
was his living.
But
Janelle Jimenez was his living girlfriend.
Jimenez.
Sorry, Jimenez. I can't pronounce it. I can't roll my eyes. Not that.
Jimenez. There's no R. Jimenez.
Jimenez.
Get it right,
I
you
don't know.
racist asshole. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I can't. Hey, I took 2 years of Spanish. I'm lucky I got a D the second year.
I failed Spanish myself. Go figure.
So she was an EMT, his living girlfriend. So Laura Sullivan's pregnant. Jimenez is pregnant. And no, don't make fun of me.
I'm making fun of you because you went, Jimenez is pregnant. I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord.
Go ahead.
I'll never live that down now. And she finds out in November, right before his quote unquote suicide, she's pregnant, but there's rumors that Albert was hooking up with Jimenez. And we never hear, she does articles out there where she gets promoted, never says anything about Patrick's child that she's carrying and she's, about ready to deliver. Not a word about Patrick or the baby being in his memory, nothing. Now, if it was his baby, why didn't John do the same thing for her?
What do you mean?
How he took on that role of godfather for Laura Sullivan.
Well, maybe he wasn't.
If they're both
asked
his
to.
babies, are they? But why wasn't he reaching out to this one? If they're both his,
I mean, his plate was a little full, wasn't it? You want to give the guy a break?
That's not what I mean. If Patrick was his best friend,
Okay.
and he's got to know Janelle.
Okay.
Why is there no contact with Janelle and his best friend's baby after he's gone?
I don't know.
If it's his baby.
I don't know. I'd have to know more about that part, that corner of this case. But it sounds like there's a lot of rumor involved. So that's probably why I haven't really explored it much. I just kind of dismiss rumor by naturally, but I get it.
I'm getting a wild here. I'm going to fool you.
And the reason why I'm that way is because it's too much for me to, you know what I mean? Like I compartmentalize because it's easy. It's just easier for me to make sense. No, well, yeah, that, and but also it's easier to manage speculation when I have less to speculate.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts with Fanning and Guarino? Do you think, number one, do you think Matt's going to flip? I mean, he's up for the death penalty.
I think there's two possibilities. Well, I mean, there's probably a lot more than that, but the two possibilities that I'm focused on are that he'll flip, or and they'll take death penalty off the table or something like that in exchange for testimony, or they're sending a message. Basically, we're taking no prisoners here. Like, if we're going for the death penalty, and you're next, you people who covered up, your time is coming. Not death penalty, obviously, but basically sending a message going, we're taking this guy down, and anybody who tried to cover it up, anybody who tried to cover this asshole, we're coming for you next. That's another way that I'm looking at it. But I do not think that Josh Levy in the U.S. Attorney's Office was solely focused on just getting Matthew Farwell for murder.
Now, they had to move yesterday because the civil case was coming up.
Right. Yeah. So I think that, we're just seeing just the beginning of the, like, as Microdot's put it yesterday, the beginning of the end of the end.
I was kind of surprised that Fanning and Tully walked out of the courthouse even before Matthew Farwell's arraignment.
That's interesting too. If that happened before his arraignment even happened, then yeah. I mean, but it is a courthouse. They could have had other business there. They're cops. So it's possible that they had other business there, but a federal courthouse, probably not. And secondly, the fact that I mean, it's like Turtleboy explained on the steps today. He was basically saying that, it's why does a criminal return to the scene of the crime? They who knows why, but I mean, I could speculate and say possibly to intimidate, possibly just to get an idea what's going on, but I think it's very telling that they showed up there, considering how the public is going to perceive it.
Yeah, they could have been sending a message, keep your mouth shut.
Right. I mean, that's what makes the most sense to me, but I mean, again, I don't know that for a fact.
Very interesting. Well, I want to tell you, I appreciate you. The sheer fact that every time Aiden has a hearing or anything like that's going on, you always make sure that you get on and you cover it, and you let us watch it on Zoom with you. And
I wasn't even planning on doing it. I totally forgot the hearing was today. I just happened to come home from the gym. I just happened to make my food. I just happened to just finish. was eating it, and then I saw that Tommy and Boston Mike were live, and they were saying they were on their way to the hearing, and I was like, oh my God. And so then I messaged Sherry and I asked her, because, well, first I was like, I assumed they were going to stream it, so I was just going to watch it on their channel, but I didn't think that they had it didn't seem like they planned on streaming it. They were just going to stream Tommy outside of the courthouse. So in that regard, I asked Cherry if she had the Zoom link, and she got it fairly quickly, and so we were able to stream it last minute. But I had no plans or intentions to do it.
Well, we appreciate it because you're always one of those. If nobody else can get to it, we can always count on you to get on and stream it for us.
I mean, or I'll cover it later. Same with anybody else. But yeah, if I can do it live, I'll definitely do it live. Sure.
Well, I'm going to let somebody else get on here. I appreciate you. Love you, brother, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Call from B Harmony.
B Harmony, you're on.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Ooh. Me too.
Okay, I want to talk about Greeno.
Okay.
He is. As soon as he got on the stand,
What'd you say?
I knew he was an asshole.
What'd you say his name was?
Greeno.
Greeno.
Guarino.
Guarino. Ooh, look at your pronunciation out of left field. Like went from nope to ooh. Okay. Go ahead. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead. B Harmony.
Well, his first, right when he started testifying, he says how they got the infotainment center out, or system out.
Right.
And he was waiting and waiting for the right tool. Contacted Toyota. They were going to be able to get all the data out.
Wait.
Thing,
Whose infotainment system are we talking about? Karen Reed.
Karen
right?
Reed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And then he said the last thing they want to do, last resort, was to chip it because it would destroy it, right?
Right.
Well, he says, he waited and tried to do this. He's full of shit. He wanted to destroy it, in my opinion.
Well, right. I mean, you also take into consideration that when Proctor testified in front of the grand jury, he stated that Guarino had a statement. He read a statement from Guarino saying that he could not. Now, Guarino's entire purpose was to determine whether or not there was data in the infotainment system in Karen Reed's vehicle to determine whether or not she had struck John O'Keefe with her vehicle. Right.
Right.
That was so in the statement that Proctor read in front of the grand jury, it says that Guarino could not retrieve any data from Karen Reed's Lexus SUV. Right. He could not retrieve any data, but determined that Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe was the victim of vehicular manslaughter. How can you make that determination if you have to make that determination based on the data in the car?
Right.
That's your expertise. Right. That's where stuff. So if you were unable to pull that stuff, how can you make that determination?
Exactly. That infotainment center would have showed that she did not hit him. And
that's what I believe too. I'm with you on that. I believe that it would have shown, it would have been exculpatory, if anything, and that's why they said that they could not retrieve any info from it. I agree with you.
Can't he be held, be in trouble for that? I mean, that's like
yeah. That's why we're saying he's next. That's why we're saying he's next.
Well, I sure hope so, because when I heard that,
he's one that supposedly just couldn't recover the 32,000 text messages from Farwell to Sandra Birchmore. So he couldn't recover this, but the FBI ends up doing so. So they basically we know for a fact that the FBI was able to do exactly what Guarino said couldn't be done.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
If he's doing that nefariously, then the FBI is going to have a case against him, guaranteed.
Okay. Do you think, is it possible, you know how they said that they've destroyed all their phones? Could the FBI have already gotten some data from the Alberts and McCabe's phones?
Well, they
before
did.
They destroyed everything?
They
did.
They did. That's how we know about the calls that took place at 2:22 in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we know about that stuff.
Okay.
But they destroyed their
All
phone.
right. Well, I had to bring that out. That seems like every time I get in a chat, that's the first thing I say when Verino is mentioned. You know, that infotainment system just really burned me because I thought, my God, that would have proven John did not get hit.
Oh yeah, like when I was reading that during pretrial, I was like, wait, what? How can this guy say
Right.
that John O'Keefe was the victim of vehicular manslaughter when his job was to review data that would dictate this, yet he was in the same sentence he says that he could not retrieve any data. It makes no sense.
Wow. None. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you calling, and thanks for listening and
All
watching.
right. Love you, Will. You're so cute.
Oh, thank you. I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. I mean, that's not inconceivable. This whole thing is so gross, bro. It's wild. This whole thing is so gross.
Call from
Scott.
You're on, Scott.
Will, how are you, man?
I'm good.
I was trying to call in to you yesterday. It was such a crazy day.
Which Scott? Which Scott is
through?
Is this Scott McGinnis?
Scott McGinnis.
What's up, Scott
Yeah.
McGinnis? Good to see you, buddy. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, great show today. I didn't know you didn't realize that Aiden had a hearing today.
No, I fucking forgot. No, he even mentioned it. I just completely fucking forgot. You know how it is. I just fucking forgot. And then
But this Cosgrove thing, so you know, Meatball Morrissey had hired, you know, Kenneth Mello to be the special prosecutor to give the illusion of you know, non-confliction.
right to give
And then Mello was a obvious fail.
Right.
And then Morrissey hires this Cosgrove, this, you know, relic of an ancient judge. And then Bradle goes in there and says, wait a minute, I know this guy. Like, there's a conflict here. You can't be the judge.
Tell me if you disagree, but I'm pretty convinced at this point that the whole purpose of of charging Turtleboy and putting Ken Mello on the case and then this Cosgrove guy was just basically to play keep away, to keep Turtleboy on bail and in line while they deal with the Karen Reed situation.
Well, yes. I mean, the whole setting up Turtleboy and you know, with the whole big victim thing and get him imprisoned.
All of that, but I'm saying, like, not sharing discovery, stalling, all of the stall tactics that Mello has pulled this entire time, the faking of all right, not faking, but being sick, you know, and then Cosgrove basically just coming in and playing dumb, like, whatever, you know, my predecessor did, I don't, it all just seems like it's a tactic. They know they're not going to win. They know they're not going to get a conviction on Turtleboy on these charges. So it seems like they're just keeping him in a position to where he stays on bail and he doesn't, you know, if he gets out of line, the fear of getting out of line, he's going to get thrown back in jail. That's what they're trying to do. But I mean, it's not working.
Yeah,
Turtleboy's still doing what Turtleboy does. But
just like in sports, you know, the shot clock and the game clock.
Right.
You know, Morrissey's got these special prosecutors just hiding the ball and you know, dribbling in the backcourt. You know, there's no shot clock.
Right.
So they're just going to keep dragging this out. You know, have the wrong judge, have Cosgrove come in and say he doesn't know what's going on. Just dragging it out. Meanwhile, Aiden has that big hammer hanging over his head that he's on pretrial probation, bail. He makes any wrong move, they can lock him up.
That's my point. I mean, if they had a case, why wouldn't they be? Why are they showing exactly the opposite of any enthusiasm to prosecute him? It's bizarre.
Well, because they know they don't have a case. This is just.
That's why.
In fact, you know, Tim Bradle and Aiden were going to drop bombs today about Garino.
Yeah.
And the phone extractions on the fake victim. There was communications between Tully and Mello through Kate Peter, Krusty Panties. They were all working together with the fake victim to set up Turtleboy for the, you know, Tully gave her that, you know, false,
I was really looking forward to hearing that, but you know, Turtleboy said it's going to wait. But again, Turtleboy's not going to say something like that unless he knows, you know, unless it's just waiting to be shown. You know, the proof is
well,
there.
if they had a viable judge that they could have gone forward today,
right?
You know, so I think that stuff would have came out. You know, once
kudos to that judge.
Bradle realized. No, I mean the judge is doing the right thing. Right. Obviously, at 2:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday at Dedham Superior Court, there's not another judge waiting in the wings.
No, yeah. I love how Bradle
maybe Beverly's there, but they're not going to bring Beverly out.
Right. And I love how Bradle tried anyway, though. Bradle was like, if possible, you know, because he was like, do you want another judge today? And he was like, if possible, you know, why not?
Yeah, Bradle don't care. Just give me any judge that isn't biased and corrupt. I don't care. I got a good case. I'll go in front of any judge.
And I don't think this judge was corrupt at all. Like it was one of those. To me, that was like one of those chances you take. You know, all right. Well, this judge, we want the judge to recuse himself, and then when the judge actually does it, you go, "Fuck, this judge was honest." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I had an opportunity to go in the courtroom. They let 14.
Yeah,
they let 14 people in, and I decided to stay outside. And I was listening to your show, and I was trying to figure out who the judge's voice was. I didn't know who the judge was.
No, me either.
I'm like, is this Krupp or who is this? You know?
Right. Like, yeah, because the guy was like, yeah, I mean, dude was like, I don't give a shit, whatever. Like, many judges as you want. I don't care. I don't care if I see this case or not. So, you know, to me, that was as honest as it gets, you know? So it was just like, fuck, you know? Well,
the judge might be a totally neutral party and not really privy to what's really going on.
Right. No,
then Bradle realizes, wait a minute, Cosgrove knows this guy.
Right.
Or I know this judge, and they all know each other. Like there's a conflict here,
and
you know.
And it's a win because yes, there is a conflict of interest there. It's just it's funny because yes, the conflict of interest is there. Yes, it was pointed out. Yes, it was addressed, and yes, they got what they wanted. They wanted this judge to recuse themselves. And it was done. But the irony in that is that the judge had no problem with it. So the judge, in my opinion, was probably honest and not biased. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right.
No, I agree. I mean, the judge made a correct decision. I mean,
right.
But there was no judge waiting in the wings to come out. So they had to give him another date.
We're just going to have to wait till the next date. Which, did anybody ever get that, by the way?
I don't know. I was outside and then I drove home.
Yeah,
I haven't really.
They ended the Zoom meeting before they set the date. So,
well, anyways, yesterday I was all fired up. Everybody was. All the breaking news with Matthew Farwell.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get through to your show, and then Dina got through, and then I'm like, I gave up. And then I was busy on shows all night. But I can't believe that. You know, I get it. Joshua Levy has a huge dragnet to cast, and he's not going to like arrest everybody all at once.
No, yeah.
But to simply just solo out Matthew Farwell, and arrest him. Well, what about the corrupt Canton police and Michael Meatball Morrissey's state police detectives that let him walk?
Well, think about it for a second, Scott. Like you got to think how much easier a case is to prosecute versus another one, right? So in terms of how complicated a case is, in terms of complication, like it's fairly simple. It's not easy, but it's fairly simple to prosecute Matthew Farwell based on the evidence that we know they have, right? So,
if Matthew Farwell was a civilian back then when the crime occurred, he would have been arrested immediately.
Sure, nobody's arguing that. What I'm saying is, it's more it's a lot easier to just get this out of the way, prosecute this guy, have it a separate case while they still build a case, because it's going to take more time to build a case of corruption. Because I guarantee you the cover-up of Sandra Birchmore's murder is just a drop in the bucket when it comes to these investigators that they're building, that Josh Levy is trying to build a case against. So it's going to take a little more time. I don't imagine them being a big sweep like there is in the movies. They're just going to take them down one by one. And it's the question is we could take bets as to who's going to be next. That's where I'm at. I mean, I'm not saying we should literally.
No, I would think it's people directly involved. Guarino.
My money's on Guarino as the next one.
Yeah,
that's where my money's at.
But what I'm saying is, so if you're going to prosecute Matthew Farwell for this horrid crime, obviously,
right?
But there was several other Stoughton police officers that were also tossing her around.
It's a different.
He obviously went into her apartment and unalived her.
Right.
These Canton cops show up, and the state police detectives, after a wrongful death, show up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, it's just a suicide. No worries."
I get what you're saying, right? But because there's so many people involved, and because you're going to have to prove conspiracy on top of everything else, that's going to be more complicated to prove in court. So that's going to take more time to build that case. You see what I'm saying? So don't just think just because Farwell was arrested and nobody else was yesterday, that there's still not justice coming for those other charges. Like if there's a trafficking case to be proven, it's going to take a while to prove that case, and there's going to be conspiracy involved in that, and that means that they're going to have to prosecute a few people. Now, with Farwell, they could just add those charges onto him. Once they start prosecuting people for that, well, then they can add charges onto Farwell. He's already in custody, So
no, I know, I believe the FBI, DOJ, and Joshua Levy's office were already investigating the Sandra Birchmore case, and then all of a sudden, Officer John O'Keefe is staged on Officer Brian Albert's lawn, and I think they were already in town, and it happened right before their eyes. That's what I think happened.
So you think that the FBI allowed and saw crimes taking place and just let them happen?
Well, I mean, somebody that's being like critical of them could say, "Oh, you just let that happen," and we see it all the time in the chats or whatever. Like, why hasn't Josh Levy pulled the trigger yet?
Right. Well,
why hasn't he arrested everybody, including Lally and Judge Bev?
Because it takes time, Scott. Because
exactly,
they have
takes a long time.
Right. They have to ensure that once this gets into court, they're going to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt their case against anybody who they're accusing. So they're trying to build an airtight case and make sure they have plenty of evidence, piles of evidence. I guarantee that's what they're doing.
But if you look back at the information that Karen Reed and her defense team had very early on, and then Karen befriended Natalie the German out in California and gave her the FBI info, and then later on Turtleboy and Sean McDonough
went
and procured that information.
Right.
Karen Reed and her defense team has been privy to the federal investigation stuff for a long time.
I mean, this
has been going on a long time.
Justice isn't always swift, you know. I mean, this is a complicated situation where there are lots and lots of culpable people here. So again, in order to effectively get these victims justice, it's going to take time for Josh Levy's office to put together a case, the FBI to put together a case. It's just the way it is. This is where we are. This is how it is. It would be nice to see Josh Levy hold a press conference and say, you know what, we issued arrest warrants for this cop, this cop, this cop, this cop. I'd love to see that.
That's my fantasy. He has like 3 buses. One of them goes there. One of them goes there.
But it's not realistic.
Rest of them all.
But it's not realistic.
No, it's not.
Right. It's not realistic. So
no, but I'm just saying that, you know, we're just starting to see the first dominoes fall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, William Farrell's arrest, you're talking 3 years of investigation just to get this far.
Right. Right.
And then, you know, Karen Reed, I mean, Officer John O'Keefe was staged on Brian Albert's lawn a year later. Like,
right.
So if you're Josh Levy in the feds, you're seeing all this stuff happening.
Right.
Okay. It's almost overwhelming. Like, how do I catch up to this?
Fair enough. But also let's reference back to, I mean, I know everybody here, at least the majority of people here, are familiar with the movie The Departed. It was the same thing. Like you had DiCaprio's character who was like deep undercover. He didn't even exist, and unless, you know, the only people that knew he existed were Mark Wahlberg and Martin Sheen, right? And
yeah,
he kept meeting with them in private and going, I can't do this anymore. You got to get me out. I just want my life back. You got to get me out. Why won't you arrest Costello on the million fucking things you've seen him do already? Right? We're talking about he fucking murdered somebody.
Yeah, because they're going after a bigger thing.
Because
they're not going to just.
It takes time to build a case, is what Martin Sheen told him. It takes time to build a case. And he's like, you know that, because he's a cop. He's like, you know that it takes time to build a case. This way they can go, okay, we got you for murder, we got you for racketeering, we got you for conspiracy, we got you for this. It's just, that's what they want to do, is make sure that there's a stack of shit this high when they get that motherfucker in front of a judge.
No, exactly. The 98% federal conviction rate, they don't pull the trigger unless they got everything.
Right.
I just didn't have faith in Joshua Levy actually going this direction, because I was worried with the monoparty Democrat situation in Massachusetts, a presidential election year. Is Josh Levy really going to have the balls to do this?
Josh Levy,
I really was worried that he wouldn't do it. I really was.
I'm actually of the opinion that because it's an election year, Josh Levy is going to take action. I think this is his whole thing. His whole thing has been, we're tough on crime. When every press conference he's given, he's like, make no mistake. Doesn't matter what you're up to. We're going to fucking catch you and we're going to prosecute you. We don't care if you're cops. We don't care if you're civilians. We don't give a fuck what you are. We are going to get justice, period. So
no, I mean, I gained a lot of respect for that guy yesterday.
That's why
I was cheering, man. I was like, oh yes,
right.
Josh did it, man.
That's why I think this is the beginning of the ball rolling, you know, because he's making a political statement. Fuck it. I'll take it. If you want to fucking make a political statement out of getting justice for Sandra Birchmore, Officer John O'Keefe, I'm fucking all for it. As long as it's factual, as long as it's the truth, as long as it's actual justice. I don't give a fuck if you use it for leverage, for political leverage. I don't give a fuck. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, no, I can't say enough kudos to Josh Levy. I'm excited, and he's going to keep going.
Blue, red, I don't give a fuck what Josh Levy is, as long as he's handing out hot plates of justice like he just did yesterday. I'm good.
No, he's doing what he's supposed to do. And it's
Absolutely.
pretty sad when you got corrupt local and state police and you have to have the feds step in. You look at Mass Attorney General Andrea Campbell and Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, who used to be the Attorney General. They've been letting all this corruption happen. They just have done nothing. It's pretty sad when you have to have the feds step in.
It is.
It shows you how screwed up Massachusetts is.
It's
and I don't want to get political on your channel.
It's
Just saying.
un-American. It's un-American because that's the whole point of the United States. Each state should be able and capable of running itself without federal intervention. Simple. It absolutely
no. This should not be necessary.
It should
we
not be
shouldn't have to have a Massachusetts.
Agreed.
U.S. District Attorney arresting dirty cops in Massachusetts. We should take care of it on our own.
Exactly. You should have people in those positions, in Michael Morrissey's position, who is honest. You should have cops who are honest. That's absolutely.
And Maura Healey, before she was Massachusetts governor, she was the attorney general when these crimes took place. What did she do? Zero.
Right. I mean, it's not.
And Andrea Campbell is just a figurehead. Forget it, attorney general. She's useless.
I mean, because it's funny because now I'm personally not necessarily what you would call a Trump supporter. I'm not, but I've always maintained that the Department of Justice against Donald Trump, their case against Donald Trump was an absolute witch hunt, in my opinion. It was a total political witch hunt. And I honestly feel that way. But it doesn't.
Well,
mean...
I think the reason Trump is popular with voters, and I'm not a MAGA Trumper or whatever.
I mean, and that's
people
fine
look at Trump. People look at Trump as somebody that's going to go into Washington, and he's not either Democrat or Republican. He's not part of the uniparty. He's going to break through and drain the swamp type of thing. But he really didn't do that his last presidency, anyways.
Yeah, I mean,
but people are still hoping he will.
I'm not going to get into all that. All I'm saying is I'm rooting for Josh Levy right now. I don't care that he worked.
I am too. I'm rooting for Levy all day long, man.
I don't care right now that he works for an entity that railroaded Donald Trump. I don't care about that right now. What I care about is that I'm just happy to get.
He's doing the right thing.
Right.
Screw the politics, and he said that in his press conference.
Totally. That's exactly.
He's looking at a young woman, a pregnant woman that was murdered by a corrupt cop, and he don't care about the politics. He doesn't care if it takes down DA Michael Morrissey's office. He just don't care. He's doing the right thing, so I have a lot of respect for him that way.
Right on. Absolutely. I agree.
All right. I'll let you go, Will.
All right.
Let somebody else get on.
Scott McGinnis, thanks for calling, buddy. Appreciate you, buddy.
Always nice talking to you.
You too, man. Bye.
Call from Nora.
You're on, Nora.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello. I was making sure that I was the one.
Yeah.
I've never called YouTube channel before, to be honest.
What's up?
Hi. I'm calling from Amsterdam, actually. It's almost 11 p.m. here.
Oh, wow. Call from Amsterdam. Yep. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I discovered your channel during the trial for Karen Reed, and since then I've been hooked. You've been amazing. Great coverage, and thank you so much for that.
Thank you for calling and watching, and all the way from Amsterdam. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. No, believe me, you have a lot of, I guess, fans and supporters, and people watch you all over the world. I know I do that myself, and I see the comments sometimes. I'm sure that you don't see all of them because not all of them would send out like a super chat or a super sticker, but a lot of people from all over the world. So props for that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything you do for this case and for all the other cases that you guys discuss on this channel.
Right on. No, thank you so much. Nora, you're amazing. I appreciate you.
I do have a question for you, and that would be, what is your opinion on Paul O'Keefe?
On Paul O'Keefe.
Yes.
I for those that have followed my channel for a long time, they know that I don't like to engage in negative talk about victims' family members if I can help it. This case is very different than any other case I've ever covered, though. And Paul O'Keefe, although I will limit my criticism towards him for the reasons that I just stated, I will limit them, but I will not defend him for the criticism that he's getting, because I believe that he's brought that criticism on himself.
Right. And you know, the one thing that stood out to me recently when he filed this, what is it called, the civil lawsuit, it's a little bit disturbing for me because it kind of resembles something in a recent case, and I'm sure you've heard of it, the Murdoch
Right.
case.
Mm-hmm.
And when what's his name? Fuck, I can't remember. What's his name?
Alec?
Yeah, Alec Murdoch.
Right.
When he got on the stand, he started calling his son, that we know that he shot and killed, Papa. And he's never said that before. He is like, from all accounts, no one ever heard him say that before the trial or even during the trial.
Right.
But then he started calling him Papa on the stand to get more sympathy and
Right.
empathy. And then suddenly, I mean, if you remember Paul O'Keefe's testimony, he never called his brother JJ. It is just a little bit disturbing to me. And obviously, I am not in any way or form.
I see. I wasn't aware of
saying
that. I didn't know that he never called his brother JJ. How do you know
not
that?
on the stand, at least.
Oh, not
Not
on the
on the
stand.
stand, that's
Oh,
No.
when he
and
testified.
also-
Yeah. Okay. So you're
Correct.
saying
And also
when
the
he
interview.
testified, he never said JJ. When he was interviewed, he didn't refer to him as JJ. But in the civil suit that he filed, he
Right.
refers to him as
Oh,
JJ.
did he really? Okay. Okay. So my bad. I guess he called him that.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, I don't feel like it's something that he's used to saying. And from the start, obviously I am not insinuating in any form or shape that he has to do anything with his brother's murder, but it's just so unauthentic, and it doesn't seem genuine to me.
Right.
Something is off. And yeah, this is what I feel about his family, and everyone obviously is saying, from grief to greed. It's really sad to see that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still I need to know more about his motives, because I just don't think that I mean, I know for a fact he has no case against the Waterfall Bar and Grill, but I'm baffled as to why he thinks he has a suit that's going to stick against them. And I definitely question the quality of his attorneys. So I still that's something that I'm just going to have to wait to find out. I want to see what his next move is when it comes to the civil suit. I really don't know what the case is, but for the most part, I mean, I feel like he was used by the Commonwealth to try to garner public support against Karen Read, and that's just failed. There's just no way that that's going to happen, because one thing happens after the other. In this case, ever since that started happening, I mean, things have been unfolding. You have the jurors that have come forward ever since Paul O'Keefe did that interview where he was calling on more support. Things that it started to happen. There was all these blue shirts hanging out outside of the courthouse, but then the jurors came forward. That was one thing that happened, and then now you have Josh Levy indicting and arresting Matthew Farwell, and so people are now starting to see that were not convinced before, that were so convinced that Karen Read was guilty, and a lot of this was based on the idea that all of us were conspiracy theorists and paranoid and just making crazy accusations and saying that the feds were coming and that was in our imagination, but now the feds have come. So I think that people are now
so happy.
yeah, I think those people are starting to quiet down.
Correct. No, I 100% agree. It's just ridiculous. Every time you get in I wouldn't say an argument, but like a debate or just like a decent conversation with someone that is saying Karen Reed is guilty, they have no basis. And I'm not big on commenting, to be honest, because sometimes I have so much to say, and I know that if I'm gonna write a fucking essay,
right.
And I just like I have better things to do, and I just don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do, and I comment on some posts on Instagram, especially on Instagram. I'm more on Instagram, and they have no like. I try to be kind and I try to be respectful, but there is no basis to what they say. They are actually so like they don't talk to you about the facts and everything. No, they repeat the same things. I would actually repeat and say things from the trial because I actually watched it and followed it religiously. Even though I'm into true crime, and this case has been fascinating to me from the beginning. And everyone thought that it would be simple, and it was a shock to all of us. The amount of corruption and you know, it's ridiculous, right? It's absolutely
in between these developments that keep happening, I will still be streaming testimony from the trial, just because I don't want people to forget what happened, and I don't want to forget what happened during that trial for when the next trial starts. So that's why I mean I'm going to go over a lot of the testimony from the last trial.
I will be watching.
But there have been some developments, and that's kind of derailed me a little bit. But I'll be doing that. I'll continue that soon.
Yeah. Well, I am gonna let you go, and just to give other people the chance to talk to you, and we're coming up to 10 minutes. Well, I want to say thank you so much. I'm also going to sleep very soon because it's almost 11 p.m. here, and it's a school day.
Wow. Yeah.
So
thank you for
so
calling.
much, Will.
Wow.
Thank
All the way
you so
from
much,
Amsterdam,
and keep up the good
Nora.
work.
Nora,
Yes,
all the way from
thank you.
Amsterdam. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Guys, I am that time has come. Yeah, I'm about to do some serious relaxation. But yeah, I really appreciate everybody logging on. Again, I did not expect to do this stream. But it all worked out. So I'm really glad that I did, and I'm glad that I got to hang out with you guys. I mean, we'd have hung out. Most of us would have hung out, later on anyway, because I had another live scheduled. I'm gonna put that off until tomorrow. I'm really grateful that we got to hang out, guys. You guys are amazing, seriously. So thank you guys thank you to all the new subscribers. I'm really glad that you're here, and I hope that you are enjoying the channel and continue to enjoy it. All of you who have been enjoying the channel, thank you guys so much. And all the support. Jesus, I have so many. Let me go over these real quick, because I said I was going to do that and I never did. Petty the paralegal. Farwell's twin is free. What the fuck? Yeah. I think he's, again, different charges, but that'll happen. Will, you're the bomb too. Thank you, Jam Cracker. Happy birthday. I went over some of these. I'm just gonna go through them all real quick. Microdots. Calling her attorney. That was when Bev walked off. Bev was bumper sticker that says I give 0 fucks. David Reese, thank you. I never understood why Lally argued to get Turtleboy removed from the court. It didn't involve the Commonwealth, right? That's very petty, very telling, and very petty. Lisa Oldham's, thank you so much. Congrats on 38,000. Well, yeah. Thank you guys. Was my next thought. I'm at 38,000 subs now, thanks to you guys. So I appreciate that. That's crazy. I can't believe that so many of you give a fuck what I have to say. That's fucking mind blowing, really. But thank you, Sharon Corner. Thank you so much. Bukaki's missing dentures. If this were a fictional book, there'd be no way I'd finish reading it because it would be too unbelievable. That's how fucked up this case is. It's infuriating, right? Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you couldn't write this shit. Crystal J gifted a membership, and Jeffrey Martin is a new member, and AZ Nature Chick gifted 5 memberships. Caveman, Aaron, AA Ron lives in an attic. I almost said your name wrong, bro. My bad. SS with 10 pounds, with 10 quid. SS gave me SS with the 10 quid. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. All right. Yeah. If you're old, you know that reference. Kelly Kell, thank you so much for Clubber's Tree Fund. Right on. He appreciates it. Sherry D gifted a membership. Thank you. Free Karen Read 2024. The feds will work with state to discuss how he will be charged at the state level. 2 different things, 2 different courts, etc. Right. Right. Exactly. Right. Regarding the sexual assault as well as the murder. Very separate issues. Scott is a member. Thank you so much. Free Karen Read 2024. The charge reads witness or victim. She would. Oh, we went over that already. Thank you. Yellow, the Truth Seeker. Thank you so much. White tee, Wrangler jeans, steel toe boots. Oh, the dude that was that case that was being heard before Turtleboys. But dial capital of Massachusetts. The McAlberts need to hire this guy, right? That lawyer was amazing. Caveman will change your calendar. Can't believe somebody thought that was a fucking calendar. Wow. Yeah, that was my autographed calendar by a Hall of Famer. There you go. David Reese, thank you. Runkle did a 6-hour live stream. That's right. Lisa gifted 5 memberships. Cheryl, thanks so much for doing this. You're the best always. DIC is a 4-letter word. Happy Thursday, all. Thanks for streaming this. I'm at Saratoga and can't watch. Give me your favorite 4 numbers. If it comes, I'll send you half. Oh, I don't know. 24. I don't know. 38 for how many subs I got. Thank you for streaming this. Guarino's job search fund. And dominoes are falling. How many more L's for Norfolk County? Many more to come. Free Karen Read, Free Turtleboy. Much respect to Dr. Turtleboy and the Glare. I love Jen. And then this one just came in. Piney Woods Law and Crime. I love these streams and your callers are engaged. Yeah, I love my callers. Like I said, I'm gonna try to make it a habit to open those phone lines every live stream I do if I can. I love talking to you guys. It has become my favorite thing. Yeah, Jerry. But yeah, you guys are absolutely fantastic, man. Seriously. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate all you guys. I will be live, I'm sure, again tomorrow. I have some stuff I want to go over. I had planned on doing a completely separate live, which would have been that. But since I did this one, that is put off until tomorrow. But anyways, guys, you guys are amazing. I love you guys very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends. Oh my God. Wrong one. Hold on. Let's do that again. Take 2. We will do this again very soon, my friends.